Hello and welcome to season 2 of Cobra Kai. So, yeah, I'm not going to say all the rules about the comments, you already know that before. But I would definitely advise you to watch season 1 first and then get onto this one, whether you watch the episodes or my commentary. I probably would recommend both. It's worth it though, because, yeah, yeah, let's get on with it. I say before we begin, I haven't really talked about the episode's titles. I think that's definitely something I should do later on. Although this one's called Mercy Part 2, because considering that the end of season 1 was just called Mercy, which is very fit in line considering the 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 different kind of mercy that all the characters show. And so yeah, this is just it's just pretty much a proper continuation, because normally these episodes have a variety of time skips, but yeah, not this one, which, like I said, is really interesting. Anyway, yeah, let's get on to season 2, episode 1 in 3, 2, 1. Sorry, that was a bad joke. I won't do that again. God, I'm not always good at jokes. Yeah, every time I see the Sony title come up, it somehow gets me excited, even if I've seen these Cobra Kai essays before. Okay, so it's just a couple of very establishing shots. So for those who haven't seen season 1, to see those little Easter eggs again, and then to see those two characters, that's where you can be like, okay, yeah, it is definitely set in the Karate Kid universe. And to further evidence that it's a proper continuation from the first episode, we do see this scene again. And other than the flashbacks, we never really see this technique being done again. Yep, so Kreese definitely was aware of Cobra Kai stopping because of Mike Barnes' legal hits, towards Daniel, as said in season 1, episode 7. Wonder where he's been to. Oh, yeah, he's not ready to be civil with him. And Kreese is definitely aware of that. Oh, yeah, that's the iconic line from season 1. Whenever someone stands up for him, he's like, oh, that's interesting. All there's more to Cobra Kai when Terry comes about. Yeah, I said the sun's on my screen. I'm kind of struggling to see. It's quite a dark scene. I can still see well enough, though. It's defaulted for me, not the show. Oh, that's yeah. It's very interesting to see them both fighting one another. It happens one or two times more, but yeah, it is really interesting to see more of the Kreese's skills, because outside of a couple of bits in the original films, we do get a proper glimpse there. Okay, so yeah, Grease. Obviously Johnny's the aggressor here, so um, yeah, quite yeah. So they were just talking about their last scene in the trilogy, well, the last scene together in the trilogy, because yeah, it's interesting for what Grease said earlier, because sometimes it's just holding someone into place and taking out some area does like calm them down or at least weaken them. So yeah, I'll say Johnny would have been frantic at a point where he's like, oh, you know what's going on? Oh no, he's gonna try and get rid of me. But for Chris to clarify that, it's really interesting. Already expanding the past trilogy, and it's just the beginning of season 2. Oh, and then Johnny shows some mercy there as well, which ties to the title, adds to the theme of the previous season and this season. And yeah, and I think the water coming down, I think that further dilutes the fight after being fed up, because Johnny's just fallen on the ground in crease and was just probably trying to get his breath back, and yeah, just that the water sprinkled on them, yeah, definitely stops them. Well, just puts them off fighting. Yeah, so as well as talking about the car earlier, so yeah, how Robbie was taught to clean the cars, we then see, or not only other practices that Miyagi has done, which we're now seeing again, including this one right there. Yeah, just this other rearranging being done to um, to the whole area as well. Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see what the final decoration will be like. Yeah, God knows when the cars were blast uncovered. And also, yeah, Robbie's sling on his arm. It's definitely one of those cases where, because the shoulder was clicked back into place, but it definitely needs rest, some healing. Because I used to assume that your arm is broken every time. Well, everyone, whoever has a broken arm wears these, but no, sometimes your arm or shoulder just needs time to rest. And yeah, it looks like it's healed well enough. Yeah, just going back to some basic training. He can definitely go back to it fully now he's got his arm back. Oh, is that been an addition? I'm not sure. The leg, I think it. Yeah, I think it's already there. But oh, there we go. It's referring to balance already. Yeah, even if season 2 is your first season, it is interesting to see Daniel already have a student of his own and already back at the house with the familiar training, and yeah, just like completely reinventing. Well, no, not reinventing, but just nice touches towards it. Yeah, it's already a vaguely interesting hook. Yeah, interesting line, because it's gone back to fighting, and also for Samantha to say all of these come back, it definitely hints that Dana probably hasn't come to a seen her all day, which is a hint to keep in mind. Always trying to ask him again. And it is definitely acknowledging in the in the first film, the trolls looked like trolls, but instead they helped. Um, but they have that cynical side, more that cynical view. Is still a thing. Oh yeah, and there's yeah. So at least Samantha's no Amanda is being nice that Daniel's gone back to karate, and Daniel's already been like, oh, balance is my thing, but we already get him signs that could not be the case, and the rivalry is getting to him again. Yeah, look, Amanda, she's vaguely exhausted. Yeah, I wonder which punch. It just would have been a selection of punches that would have made Johnny's right hand a bit sore. Oh, yeah, and it's still night time. I wonder what Johnny's watching. Also, like, imagine if Daniel's son trained sooner, like, trained at this point. Imagine that. It would just be yet another number to the team. Oh, there you go. So, it's just almost like rewarding Johnny. That's really nice of her. Wonder what kind of milk. Yeah, it's probably a bit like a I was about to say terracotta, panna cotta, yeah, where it's solid milk or solid yogurt. It's probably like that. And then again, just talk about her view of the fight. So yeah, just expanding about the idea of what it was like to watch the karate. Not really done in the trilogy, but explain it here. And there you go. So all of that look she had in the last episode, she's just sharing that. But yeah, later on, Johnny tries to reassure her that it's fine. But even if you just see right here, calling it a game face, yep, right there. Yeah, just added some doubt, but that just bring up the question later on. Yeah, we saw Johnny last time keeping lid on Miguel. Yeah, once again we're just getting these really not only these interesting snippets from the previous season, but just seeing what that could end up like later out. Smitty's Diner. Okay, that's another. Is that in the valley as well? Oh, I just only noticed the portrait above Johnny. It looks like he um, still likes his women, I suppose. Is that what Instagram used to look like? Crikey, the updates. Yeah, so we see um, yeah, so later on Miguel does see that Sam blocked her, and yeah, it just looks like Sam's really fed up of Miguel, especially yeah, it's just the way she was talking about the way she was talking about Robin, how hitting her earlier, it's definitely putting her off, and yeah, and the whole karate lifestyle, she's unable to get away with it, especially with Aisha sharing all about it. Oops, revealing secrets. God, I wonder what the. Actually, that's something you don't really get much. Although, granted, you can't really see every parent's point of view with their karate. But you can always assume it's similar to Carmen, where the guys have found something, but there's some doubts because of the kind of karate it is. Oh yeah, that's what Dimitri was referencing then. Definitely keep that in mind for season 4. But yeah, it just looks like Eli's definitely all about the pass, and okay, that's finding out he's been blocked. But yeah, Eli's just definitely doesn't want to go back to his previous status quo. Not even talking about him or Dimitri's past hobbies, which is already a bit sad for Dimitri. Oh, Miguel shared that. Unless that was filmed too on YouTube, like Ayesha's situation. Yeah, now talk is sounding a little bit like Johnny being like, oh yeah, can get hold of anyone with Cobra Kai, but yeah, Miguel's definitely not into it. Okay, and he's nicely cheered up by Aisha as well. Yeah, they're definitely nice, good mates. Also, I think this place comes back in this following season, but in a flashback, and yeah, it looks like the kind of place Greece likes to go to. Although definitely modernised. I don't think claw machines were a thing in the '60s, unless I'm wrong. Yeah, Johnny's definitely will be curious with what Greece is offering, but as evident here, Johnny just wants to get straight to it. Promotion. Oh, jeez. Oh yeah, that's something Greece does a lot. He kind of links it with animals, well, not just snakes, but actually no, yeah, he does mostly talk about snakes, but yeah, you can see if you're like wondering about how the snake comes about with the logo and everything, there is an explanation to that, as you'll find out later. But this is just some of Greece's wisdom. He likes to tie it with snakes and that. Yeah, it's just a very interesting point of view. How he explains it. Oh, there we go. Bad to be caught up. Oh wow, he's done all sorts of. Wow, that is. Wow, he's been doing all sorts. And then yeah, that's where this is why you was talking about this snake comparison earlier. yeah, he hasn't been surrounded by kids for ages, and so yeah, to then come back in this, just being around the general public again. Yeah, he looks like he wants to do something about it, and Johnny's already like yeah, Johnny, yeah, Johnny definitely wants to keep hold of his students. Yeah, we can see why Johnny would say that increases a bit of doubt, because Johnny still made his choices, but Johnny kind of blamed some of them on Crease, which you can see why, because most of what Johnny's made up of is because of Crease. Yeah, definitely another interesting line. I say something else that's really interesting in. Yeah, there's something else that's quite interesting. I'm sorry, throughout this show is that each season has not plays on a different premise. So first one was, trying to bring back Cobra Kai and Daniel somewhat coming in. Then in this season, it's the Dojos coming in with Johnny and Kreese working together. Then it's Kreese alone. Then Terry joins Kreese, and then Terry's on his own. To see how that plays out. Yeah, just some really interesting different positions that each season just focuses and has a go at. Another really interesting line. Yeah, that drum comes from the second film, and yeah, Daniel does talk about that later on. Oh yeah, and I think that was talked. That medal was talked about in the previous film as well. Definitely the most valuable thing. And yeah, it looks like Robbie's learning a bit more about Mr. Miyagi, which is nice. Yeah, there's already that parallel that Mr. Miyagi and Kreese, were both soldiers, but come from different times and introduced to different things. And this is referenced in the second film, although they did decide to play the flashback. Yeah, right here. I suppose well, if anything, a lot of people would have just only watched the first film, despite how popular the second film was. So I think it helps them bring up to speed with that. So yeah, there is always a debate about these flashbacks, but yeah, I think that one is fine. Definitely with going back to the original aspects of what Miyagi is made up of. Not to mention, Daniel was taught that whilst he was all the way to Japan. So yeah, to bring what else he's learned in the following films to then just put it all in a singular package. Yeah, that's just really nice. Also make us feeling a bit more better as well. And not to mention, because of the tournament, yeah, you can see how that's influenced more people to come in. Yeah, so it looks like when Hawk said about having fresh fish, I don't think he's like looking for new targets. I think Eli's or Hawk is just kind of pleased that he's almost going to play top dog to these people, and the two men at the door, or two lads at the door. That's to another perspective to the upcoming conflict, and with the taller one trying to be nice by opening the door. Yeah, so there's a reason why um, why Johnny wants to make the session just about the old students. Oh, yeah. So I think there would have been a session to look back on the tournament anyway, but because of the mistakes Dave made, that's added more purpose to this session at the tournament. And yeah, and Johnny's establishing a couple of consequences for their two mistakes. And it's and even Johnny's bringing in that animal comparison, which it could come from Greece as well. And also, that's a really interesting metaphor that Aisha says. Sorry, I don't want to keep using the word interesting because it annoys myself too. Yeah, definitely another. Yeah, so despite being firm, it still wants the students to be, to still be tough, but just more sensible. Because especially seeing Crease again, with Crease encouraging some of the cheating. That I think that's part of Johnny's frustration. Yeah, there you go. That's their punishment. Their press ups. Oh, look at them go. And they go now. Some time has passed. They just want to talk about it. Oh yeah, so the idea about mercy, that has a large grey area, throughout this show. So no wonder they're a bit confused about beating opponents, because they're talking about fighting fair in that, and but just from what Johnny's learned, he's kind of regrets taking the students this far. So that's when they need to keep a lid on it, especially seeing Crease and what Johnny's explaining here, about how going too far leads to consequences and that. And oh yeah, there you go, they're made up again. Yeah, that's rather nice. So yeah, Johnny's definitely not ready to admit about Robbie being his son, but it's just Johnny trying to pass on some wisdom, which some of it would just come again, after seeing Crease. All needing another goal. That's definitely to think about later on. And I think those two things are what they probably used to do together. But looks like Aisha has other things she seems to prefer doing. Now she's joined this dojo. Oh, yeah, she's trying to be Aisha's trying to be the one to help make amends. In fact, considering how they made up later on thanks to Sam helping Aisha out. Aisha's just trying to help Sam out, but involving Miguel. But it just looks like Sam's not ready to make that amend yet. Oh yeah, for those who watch Cruella, you know who he is. Yeah. So if this show is to have oh yeah, I like this one of the lines that it says where is it? So definitely establishes their age difference. There's like a difference between coming from the 80s and living through the 80s, so that's really interesting. But as I was about to say earlier, it's interesting to have a character who's quite nostalgic of the time when the films were about, and even someone who likes rock too. So that's quite interesting. The reason I say that's because the bloke we saw earlier, forgot his real name. He has his nickname later on, but he just becomes more prominent. So Robbie's interpreting everything as a karate thing, but just a nice touch, especially with There you go, Daniel's more recognised. More recognised? Well, just, more people knowing him. Nope. Raymond, okay, that's his name. That explains the nickname later on. Yeah, it's getting a bit sidetracked, but yeah, Johnny just manages to get him back on track. Yeah, so after the tournament, they just have their own little focuses. And it looks like right here Daniel's going to give them two time to catch up. Which is quite nice of him. Because, yeah, Daniel's not possessive of Robbie. He's letting him choose almost, which definitely reminds me of a bit from season 3. But, just nice to have their time together. What Terry will lead to. And Johnny's trying to apologise with the tournament, but Robbie doesn't. Johnny's trying to clarify that it wasn't his doing, it's Miguel's choices, despite not making Miguel too bad either. But yeah, just Robbie doesn't see it this way. Yeah, and after probably seeing be more familiar with Daniel than Johnny, yeah, then you can see why Robbie's jumping to that conclusion. So yeah, then they two have a long way to go. Yeah, that's an interesting look. I think it just brings into question how rivalry can overtake some things. That's what Robbie thinks Johnny is like, but obviously, there's far more going on with Johnny right now beyond the rivalry. And as we can see in the last episode, Samantha's trying to familiarise herself with karate. Despite being, exposed to Cobra Kai a lot, she just wants to just make this like the new karate focus. Just making herself good again. Figure out about Cobra Kai almost. So I think muddled the sentence. Hopefully, get the idea. Yeah, and Daniel's just trying to talk about events from the previous events. Oh, and this is another interesting line. Line. Just more gaps being filled because just bring up the question. Who was he with? Anyone else before Ali? But yeah, turns out there's no person before. Yeah, it's nice to drop the names in again. Yeah, and the way he talks about it. Yeah, watch Karate Kid 2 for that one, I suppose. I think there's probably even more when we finally see Ali, but we'll just have to wait and see. Oh yeah, so because with Johnny being very informal with Data Navarre, you have Daniel, who is definitely a lot more formal and honest. What are you talking about? Moving on with another person, hence why he was talking about his history of Ali and whoever he was with previously. Yeah, so unlike Daniel has a bit of a bias, Sam seems to try and look through Cobra Kai, and she only sees it as just mildly, just almost like a small block in the way, but she still doesn't want to give up on Aisha and presumably Miguel as well, or at least still thinking about Miguel. Also, we see Johnny's maintenance skills still coming in, becoming useful again. And yeah, it's another interest. Stop saying that. Another part. So yeah, that's the same actor as the flashback. Yeah, so we can see Johnny back then was upset by whatever his stepdad did, only for Grease to help him out almost. But of course, Grease has been very, just using that commanding presence, the commanding presence to make Johnny feel strong again, as evidently shown in the flashback. Yeah, it's kind of cool to see the same kid for the flashback again. I think that's the last time we see him, well, for now. And for that actor to age up a bit, yeah, makes sense, because this is probably a year or two into karate, and even at that point, it just shows that it's always been the case, with Johnny finding he almost relied on Kreese back then, because Kreese is what helped him make himself feel better, after what his stepdad has been doing to him. Oh yeah, and that's apart from Karate Kid 2. Yeah, it's like a calming method, or a way of focus as well. I think yeah, because I think the talk of Cobra Kai earlier is with Samantha about I don't know, needed to clarify those thoughts, or maybe he needed just a lot of time to think what to do next, especially with what he's talking now. Thanks to the meditation, he probably has some idea of how to take down Cobra Kai, and he's already talking about new students and already trying to offer a better solution, against Cobra Kai. And oh yeah, there you go, he's got his first student already. She's interested in karate again, then it makes a bit more sense for her to be trained by Dan again. Oh yeah, so the mention of going beyond 24 hours, so he's already focused too much on this compared to the dealership, or his work, his job. Okay, so Vinto are already making a start, so that's already an interesting first step to the season. Oh yeah, really. Yeah, this is a very nice scene, because when earlier Johnny was talking about his trophy back in '84 being broken, and as you could see later on, Chris fixed it, so he kept the pieces. Because last time we saw Johnny, he was just sat by the car, probably just taking in what was happening. But yeah, I don't think he would have wanted to take a trophy, especially not it's been broken by Cruz, who he would be wanting to forget about, and be a second place probably wasn't worthy enough of an achievement to remember. So yeah, I bet Cruz must have collected it to maybe remind himself of what he did, or where else would Chris have the trophy pieces? Maybe, yeah. I think maybe my guess could be the only guess I have at the moment. But yeah, just in this scene, with Johnny constantly, refusing Chris's offer. And Chris is somewhat, just showing some respect. Although I think, Chris has his sneaky ways, so by showing him the trophy, I bet he must have been thinking, by doing this could, get me into Cobra Kai and hopefully work for Johnny. But as he, as shown later on, he probably had a contingency. Oh yeah, and does he talk about right here for why he kept it? Oh, I probably need to look back again. Just a nice little compliment, and yeah, Grease partly would say that because Johnny was more experienced than Daniel back in '84, and seeing what else Johnny has achieved. So I bet he's just wondering what to. I think he would have gone travelling around the world anyway, if it was for this idea. But yeah, from this smirk he gives right there, he's like, yes, my plan has worked. Unless maybe he was thinking of walking away, not expecting Johnny to not to give him a second chance, and for him to go better for him than he thought. It could be said either way. Let's just go back. So I'm just going to rewatch that last scene whilst just see if there was any more bits I missed out. Okay, yeah. So definitely an interesting. Stop saying that. A very good start to the second season. As it's because normally in second seasons it just starts off a new status quo right away, but and whilst I think it just depends what you're watching, and I think if each season always ties back to what's been happening recently, and I think I don't know, because I think between season 3 and 4 that too also has an incredibly short amount of time passing. So I think it is something that they like doing to help continue the story whilst tying back to previous events. Definitely a unique approach going from season to season. I definitely would encourage you to watch previous seasons as well. But I think even if you haven't seen previous seasons, I think it still does well with some catching up and and just providing a good hook with some action, some interesting lines. Stop saying that, and just hints come from the trilogy as well. Even if so, I bet there must have been a lot of fans who've seen the original trilogy and then hopping on to the middle of the season and already thinking, I like this. I probably would watch the previous seasons first, or give it a go with the other. It just depends. I think something to address is that I've heard a criticism of the second season about the bit too much focus on the kids, and I think that definitely applies to the last 2 episodes for me, because I think at this point, aside from this episode introducing a couple of other kid characters, I think it's still vaguely familiar with the first season, of the previous season, where it does kind of go back and forth between the drama of the kids, and the adults. But I think a lot of the time it was just the adults and the kids sharing their screen time. But in this case, it looks like they do have somewhat separate plots, and like I said, there was just a bit more of an emphasis. As shown later on, I remember when I first watched it, and I remember being interested by not only how much effort there was to the new characters to help us get more as invested in them, as well as the older characters. But it also showed what John and Daniel's rivalry has led to. It's created even more rivalries, especially between two dojos, as you see later on. But thankfully, it looks like the showrunners did take up on that, and that balance does come back. Later on, where at the point where just more balance between the classic and the new characters. If anything, sometimes there were. It's just later on, where it just gets a bit crowded, but at least the screen time is shared between all of them instead of a specific group. I think that would be Just something to see of as time goes on. Yeah, because so far we've seen Raymond and we saw two new students, well, the two lads at the door. I forgot their names. I'll be reminded shortly. Because we can assume they are minor characters, but we do see more of them, probably more than we would expect as you see later on. Yeah, we won't think of seeing Raymond again because Raymond is, he kind of reminds me of the tax person, where he does have like a personality and some role in the story. But yeah, that's just brought into question as time goes on. But yeah, because sometimes when you write characters that only appear for one scene, they're still, if yeah, sometimes writers don't bother giving like side characters personality, but it looks like this show does, because the tax person in the last season, he's not, it doesn't, has a certain purpose, by increasing those taxes, but we don't see much of him, so that's something which we would kind of assume. But yeah, it's just something to think about again. Anyway, let's talk about what this episode achieves. So we see Johnny and Kreese reuniting, talking about some past events. We see parts of Kreese's wisdom, the wisdom that's slightly twisted, and also what Kreese has been up to all this time. It looks like he's continued his soldier work after 1985, which is, which is really fascinating. Sorry, I'm just losing my breath. Oh, sorry, it's his headphones. And so he's already already going to be a. Sorry, I was trying to strongly to come up with words. I guess to see him come to the picture, it'll be interesting to see how it would play out. But yeah, we have Johnny's going to have more students later on, which is nice. But he's just as well as focusing on the students he has in today's episode. Sorry, my voice wearing out. But just good to catch up with Johnny and Robbie working on Miyagi's house. Assuming that's his house, and yeah, is that? Oh yeah, it is Miyagi's house. I think the reason it's ready and left open for Daniel to use, because of how rich he is, he must have kept the house there, without selling it. Obviously, it's not been used for ages, but after Miyagi died, I bet Miyagi must have wanted Daniel to reserve the place. And also, as I'm rewatching the episode, is that Nintendo Switch that Daniel's son has? I just suddenly spotted that. I didn't know I forgot which year this show started. Lol. But yeah, I think I don't think this line or anything which explains why Miyagi's house is still there and untouched in that. But I think what I've said could be a reason, and yeah, that's the important word. Could. It's a gap that probably could do with filling, but it's just something which we can assume. And yeah, there's other interesting details, like Samantha's about to be trained by Daniel, and Daniel sheds a bit more updating history even before Ali, which is definitely an answered question. And there's Amanda being unsure of Daniel and karate coming in, and Daniel's being like, "Oh yeah, I'm all about the balance." But then we later on not only see Amanda already being more unsure, but we have Daniel already kind of losing the plot, and too much emphasis on not only the training but hoping to find ways to stop Cobra Kai from being any more of an entity. And yeah, even seeing Miguel's mum congratulate Johnny definitely adds to I think they're just nice acquaintances, perhaps even friends at this point, but that definitely expands later on. So it's nice for Johnny to have someone to speak to. And Carmen's also concerned for Miguel as well, which is almost, whilst Amanda's concerned for mainly Daniel. Carmen seems to be worried about Miguel, so we already have like two different perspectives on either dojo, either causing their own problems, Miguel being out of whack and Daniel losing his focus. So those are two extremes that the dojos teach, because yes, Cobra Kai is about using aggression, but it will be too much aggression, and Daniel, thinking he's all about balance, ends up focusing on one thing at a point where it goes out of balance, which is already two very interesting parts. It's something I can remember more of with Daniel's side of thing. I'll just have to see what I get more of. I just need reminding myself of what Miguel's story is like at this point. And yeah, and it's also seen Crease's Diner. It's a place which he used to go to. I like that detail. And the Cobra Kai, they're a good group of friends. And the celebration they have. Just really. Yeah, it's a new spin on things, because previously Cobra Kai used to be a lot of teenagers on motorbikes, and you can assume they do things like that as well, which I like. Even if it's a new generation, it's still something that a close community would do, celebrating all together. Because yeah, in that in the scene where Aisha was going live and Miguel finding out he's being blocked, yeah, in that party I don't think it's just the main characters. The other Cobra Kai students came to join the party too. So yeah, that's just another interesting detail. Bit more on Miyagi-Do as well. To see a teaching come from number 2, then come back to the original house of Mr. Miyagi. That's nice. And seeing the Medal of Honor as well. And that flashback with Johnny and Kreese as well. Yeah, just even more, not only gaps filled, but just something, just learning more, about the connection, even just more about themselves as well. Because thanks to that flashback, when Johnny was younger, yeah, there's definitely evidence about how, well, just even more about how the dad used to bother Johnny, but this time it's just seeing Johnny seemed to, used to rely on Kreese to, get that strength back up. And so yeah, I think we'll end it right there. Yeah, just another really solid start. I think Kreese coming in is the main gem for me, or at least the most something just like to look forward to the most. That's how I see it. But yeah, there's still plenty of other things coming on, especially with what Amanda thinks of Daniel, and seeing how Cobra Kai, just like post their success, even appear on the newspaper as well. So yeah, it's the tournament's a big community thing once again. Yeah, let's stop right there. Anyway, I'll see you in the next episode. Hello, welcome to the commentary for Cobra Kai Season 2, Episode 2, titled Back in Black, which is a reference to AC/DC, adding to that rock theme already. Yeah, there weren't any rock reference. Yes, there was. Yeah, there was Johnny wearing the Metallica t-shirt. Yeah, so yeah, to see Johnny wearing those t-shirts of his bands, and that's already. I don't always notice the style of clothing characters wear, but that's a sign of Johnny still liking his 80s, even if he's managing to move forward. Anyway, I'm starting some analysis before the episode even starts. Sorry about that. Anyway, get your episode ready. 3, 2, 1. Yeah, we'll go after 1. Yeah, sorry, I forgot to say go. Right, let's see what episode 2 brings, especially now Grease has joined the picture. Oh, who's that? I bet that's... Oh, okay. I thought that was Johnny. It could still be him, but no, I bet it's people Johnny has hired. Oh, and that template's been removed as well. Oh wait, is that oh, I can't tell if it's Johnny or not. But yeah, I think what's interesting about this part, sorry if I do keep using the word, that's like my word, is that now Johnny's, thanks to, he's a proper sensei now with all of these students coming in, and he's able to afford this new reskin for his car, so yeah, that's really nice. Cool to see parallel between Johnny and Miguel there, just seeing how similar they are, which could also be tied to how similar Johnny and Kreese were. Oh yeah, look at that. Even a 3D Cobra as well. Wow, Johnny must have been loaded. He must have been saving up. Yeah, so removing that Blu-ray, so number plate, and even seeing just complete reskin. Yeah, it's not only showing more presence of Cobra Kai, or even the gear stick too, but yeah, just like they're totally getting Daniel out the way. What was once Daniel's nice soft verb is now back to the next stage of the rivalry. And also earlier, not only is it a parallel between Miguel and Johnny, but it's just what their new routine is like. Yeah, it's quite. Yeah, you don't often see new routines. Actually, no, what am I saying? It's pretty much like the sequel. So it's just seeing what they're like now before more things change, and also for Johnny to give Miguel more tips. I think thanks to Hawk and Aisha cheering him up, Miguel seems to be more open with mingling with other women, especially with the car earlier. That's so yeah, at least Miguel's feeling a bit better. I also saw like some new decorations on. Oh, good sneak attack from Robbie there. Yeah, it was pitch black, and it's just this new bloke coming in. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, very reasonable reaction. I would have done the same, really. Yeah, just grabbing a few things. Yeah, I don't think Robbie even expected the mum to come back at this time as well. And oh yeah, so going to Mexico. So yeah, that explains why the mum was, greatly absent later on. But yeah, just still not caring about Robbie. She's still into this lifestyle. But yeah, Robbie will have a place to stay, which we'll find out later on. Don't party too hard, or that could be an interesting line, because I'm not sure how much she knows about Robbie's karate, but oh, Robbie's definitely capable of doing that. He's already quite tough anyway, but thanks to the karate, he's even more tougher. Because he used to be scared of his mates. So yeah, he definitely needed those skills to make himself more present. Oh, and I really like that pan shot as well. Just to see the generations of Miyagi, because I'm not sure we've seen those previous pictures ever. But to come in, and Daniel almost feels like the next step to that generation. And oh boy, what a massive leap for the generation he does, or for the legacy. Sorry, not for the generation. God, that it looks very warm. It's the summer after all, isn't it? Oh, sneaky. Yeah, using Aisha's phone. I think despite the mingling earlier, I think Miguel is still thinking about Samantha. And I think it's just that time with Johnny as well that would have helped him as well. Probably offered a couple of advice. Oh, and there's Robbie seeing that that Samantha and Miguel's still having problems. Oh, there you go. So, yeah, Robbie's not that defensive of Sam for what she does. Yeah, they barely know each other, so of course he wouldn't be like possessive or not at all controlling. But yeah, he's just frustrated about something else, which they both do find out. And then again, this is similar to the previous season. It's Daniel having his own way of teaching whilst carrying on the original basics of Miyagi-Do. Oh yeah, you know when I was talking about going against two people in the previous season? Well, there you go. Oh yeah, what's the thing about circles? Is it in the trilogy? I just remember more of that in this show. Yeah, and as you'll see later on, they do more of this practice on the lake. So it even goes to show that Daniel's trying to experiment with new ideas and they're coming up with new solutions to make the training better. 4 to 5 p.m. God, he must be busy. Well, I don't think Johnny has much else better to do. Poor Johnny's still behind in the times. Oh yeah, we see those two again. So yeah, Johnny's definitely open to new people. I think was Aisha trying to be nice then? I'm not sure. Um, oh yeah, okay, yeah. So they're just joking about. Oh, even Miguel's trying to jump on it. Yeah, just giving the nicknames already. I think that is the kind of um, the behaviour, well, the kind of talk you'll be getting. You know, if you're on to, you know, once you chose your side almost and joining in this team, of course you're going to get a bit mocked at first. Grease has had a look at the t-shirt, reading what it says. Even Grease, like Johnny, is a bit behind on the times as well. But yeah, they're just looking at this bloke, wondering who he is. You know, he's not a kid, so oh, oh, that's very interesting. I think Grease would have been somewhat familiar with Miguel because he'd done the newspaper and that with Miguel winning. Yeah, I don't think Grease has anything much to do, so yeah, of course he can come along. But yeah, for Grease to say he can probably help him, it definitely hints something, especially with Grease, you know, offering some teaching tips as well. Yeah, that's definitely. I think despite this paying off in season two, I think there must be hints of this in the following seasons, even if this technique isn't talked about again. Yeah, I guess that's something I'll try and keep an eye on. Yeah, when I was talking about water, because with water and being on the platform, you're more in sync then compared to this solid ground. There you go, first Star Wars reference in the show. Oh, is Amanda legit, or is she trying to get Daniel to work? Let me just see how this happens. Well, it looks like Daniel's at least trying to perform some balance by getting to work when it's important, when he's needed, and now the students have something to work with. And there you go. Oh, there you go. Yeah, Johnny's trying to downplay Kreese. Yeah, you can't really say, oh, you know, he used to be my sensei, because it would be just bringing up parts of the history he doesn't want to bring up. But I think at this point, Kreese is pretty much offstead of karate. Oh no, they dabbed. How relevant is dabbing in 2024? Oh yeah, so that's an understandable mindset, because if you already have success against beating other people, you know, of course, doesn't mean you, you know, still can learn new things, and that's something that, well, not only do the students, something else that the students learn, but um, but you know, they get punished, you know, for, you know, messing about like this, you know, not a good impression on Kreese up soon. Yeah, even Kreese is like, what is this? And Johnny is definitely not into this as well. Even the punishment goes as far as not only 5 a.m., which is rather early, but all yeah, there you go, stopping the class. So yeah, it's just wasted a lesson. So yeah, Miyagi Do now has time to catch up, and they're not even, the dojos themselves aren't rivals yet. And yeah, we can already see Cole as oh yeah, Cole from the previous season. I didn't know he had much. Of course, he has presence in the second season. I remember bits and bobs that's going to happen. And yeah, Amanda's even showing more of um um yeah, there you go, yeah, concerned of what Daniel's focuses are, and yeah, it's already gonna it's already like some shaky moments in the business, but yeah, that's gonna go far worse if um oh yeah, because yeah, this is the season where they need to get the money up, um yeah, do well for the business, and yeah, looks like we're gonna get a neat montage, just seeing how good they are as a couple, selling cars in that. So yeah, it is really nice seeing them as a team, and yeah, despite this show being made up of many montages, it has this one too. Yeah, and then seeing all of those little details, like recognising what car would suit a person, and um, yeah, actually, it's something that we have. There's a lot of instances throughout this show where like the questions we had previously, even if they're small, even if they're small ones, um, yeah, it just answered them. The season after, like what was the car salesman skills like? From after seeing the sorry, I'm out of breath. The show in the previous season. Well, now we finally get that. I like the picture taking as well. Yeah, they're still continuing that brand idea. Yeah, with the karate move earlier. Well, there you go. They've reached their goal. That's nice. I like the shapes of their glasses. Oh yeah, so this shows that yeah, despite teaching Sam, he's really teaching now, and so yeah, he must be in the first day he would sometimes struggle in the road fee when teaching anyone anything, and Amanda's just said this this advice, and yeah, that's where he gets an idea. You could say it's a bit contrived that he counted this tyre, therefore he came up with the idea. But I think it's one of those scenarios where he probably would figure out later, or he would see another tyre spinning later, or another thing later. But anyway, it's him seeing something and then getting an idea. So yeah, it just goes to show how just a variety of intelligence that these characters have. I'm surprised Amanda wasn't annoyed that Daniel brought up karate after all of that setting, but I think because the dealership went well, yeah, I think that's why she didn't seem worried about Daniel bringing it up. It's when it starts to fall apart, it's when she gets annoyed, or where things get a bit out of focus. But yeah, also yeah, we're just in this new scene. They're doing all of this. Grease wondering what's going on, and now they've got Johnny managed to hire a vehicle temporarily. Yeah. Oh, he knows the person. Okay. Yeah, Johnny seems to be rich enough to um, yeah, paying off a bar. Yeah, that sounds like a lot. I think it also could represent how Cobra Kai is going to get more income, but Daniel's business is going to get less because of the karate coming in, and yeah, that's just another interesting parallel. And yeah, between Cobra Kai Rising and Miyagi-Do having its stumbles every now and again. Because yeah, I think Daniel's humble enough to not make the karate a business. I don't think that's ever considered. Oh yeah, so the frustrations of his home life is definitely they get into him because there was a bit of evidence of that earlier, but now Sam's really noticing that something's up with Robbie, and Miguel's not even mentioned. Oh, is that a new addition to the place then? Okay. Wow, Mr. Miyagi must do some really good architecture despite being quite old. Like much older than after the trilogy. Yeah, I probably would have pole vaulted, but I think the platform's not very steady. I think it's like it's good. Is it natural ground below the water? I wonder. Anyway, yeah. So there was a line about a monument to balance. So yeah, that's yeah because yeah, us and Daniel, us the watching audience, would have seen the platform sway about, and so yeah, that's where that idea comes up. Yeah, not who knows if that was intended to be something to practice on. If that was Miyagi's intention or not. There you go. So now they're sharing the platform, they can feel each other's presence more, and therefore they can learn the technique. And Daniel manages to come up with this idea just before Amanda and Robbie, get less patient about it. Yeah, they're slowly adjusting to it. I think, like thinking about what this whole episode's about, it's almost like a training episode. Although it's definitely not bad for a first try. It's good to see certain poses that Miyagi-Do has. Okay, so yeah, because as we see later on, there's fish in there. Were there fish in there before? Actually, no, because the place probably hasn't been opened in ages. I wonder why Daniel decided to put fish in the water later on in the season. There you go, some more handy advice from Johnny. Because he's won multiple ones and losing one, so he does understand about keeping going is like the best thing to do. And of course, he stopped after 84. Okay, and then he's using this. Well, not only as a punishment, but it's like a symbolism to to keep going. Sorry. Yeah, because yeah, it's a training episode for Miyagi-Do almost, but um, I suppose this could be a type of training. Getting their strength and learning how to continue. Oh, there again, this is where Greece starts coming in. He's using some of the same language as Johnny. I bet that's what Johnny's got the language from as well. And yeah, Greece is just trying to share the credit. And what's interesting about Greece is that it could be seen as manipulative at first, but there's like a truth to it compared to Terry, who is all about the manipulation. But it's also interesting that the kids are like, oh, I don't really want to go in there, despite Johnny's efforts to get him going. But thanks to Crease's unique perspective, it's got them on board. Which, that will, get Crease more towards Johnny's favour. Get more towards Johnny. It will just make Johnny, get on with Crease again. So I felt like I muddled my words earlier. I never really knew what inside of this kind of vehicle looks like, but now I know. Oh, that's nasty. Yeah, it's definitely some kind of if this episode is about like a good step of progress for either dojo, then so as well as Miyagido's the new technique, you have Kreese being almost like a secondary teacher, which is a cool first step. So yeah, it's definitely a mix of defences. Oh, there we go. Oh, she felt that, yeah. So definitely, so it does go to show how much they're able to, sense each other's presence on that board. It's something that does pay off. Yeah, eventually. Because I think because Kreese is letting Johnny lead, and thankfully Johnny Kreese isn't like, Johnny, what are you doing? He's just letting see how it goes. But it looks like the idea is going to work. And yeah, thanks to that punishment, the kids will be thinking twice about making fun of the idea of, oh, do we need to progress more? And evidently they do. Oh, there you go. Even the new kids are coming in. I think there's more kids that fit in the vehicle, but I don't think that vehicle is going to fit everyone, unless the rest are new recruits. So yeah, maybe they're just gaining some wisdom from the lesson, and also just once again what happens when you make fun of the dojo and thinking you don't need any more training. Yeah, that's what I just said earlier. Oh, there you go. Yeah, Chris is slightly happy with Johnny, and Johnny's pleased that it's happening, and they have completed the circuit. That's good. Oh, that was a match shot then. With bumping each other's fists. Two students getting on, and now two senseis getting on. Oh my god, the day's nearly done. Judging from the lighting. I wonder what Carmen would think of Miguel. And Miguel would be like, oh, it's just overtraining. I totally wasn't in a vehicle. Oh, yeah. Nice good luck between them. It's always like another type of mutual respect. And also for Johnny to say that, I guess it just goes to show how the progress can, just lead to new experiences. Experience new things in that. Well, not just about karate, but probably new other aspects of life too. Oh, okay, and so despite Sam sharing the fun they had earlier, Johnny's now, Robbie is now admitting what what's his problems are at the moment. And yeah, look, as we can see later on, someone wants to do something about it. Oh, I think you're part of that wall already. yeah, that's something they've never, yeah, them two never really, Daniel and Robin never really talked about their home life, and so too, um, yeah, so to hear this new information, yeah, it's going to be a bit of a shock, but at least, Robin will be in a much better place. How did he know about Robbie's address? Would that be on like a work file from his employment? Oh, okay. So, okay, so suppose he, as his, talked about his geographical knowledge and about which apartment's which, and Daniel can see behind him, what kind of state is happening. Yeah, so Amanda does seem to be on board because she is carrying like that as shown before and even after. But yeah, she's just looking at it more broadly, about getting the parents in. Oh yeah, so we can see that putting him in the vehicle was definitely a bold move. Oh, and he's thanking him as well. That's quite nice. So yeah, it's the first time they've been nice to each other in a very long time. Tall boys, is that a type of drink? Okay, yeah, he's asking him first, and I think Johnny's going to say yes. Miguel is still calling him sensei. Well, it is still that dynamic at this point. Slim Jim. So Johnny's still having unhealthier breakfasts. Oh, and this is where Miguel finds something out. It'll be. I wouldn't even know that's Robbie. Yeah, Miguel must really know how to connect an age face with what they look like now. Well, just basically what someone used to look like when they're younger. Oh yeah, I was right about tall boys. Being a type of drink, but also with Amanda talking about the parents. Daniels seems to go for Johnny first. I need to, come in this situation, come into this situation. Sorry. From that look, Chris now knows that Miyagi's not there, and then Daniel's trying to taunt Chris by, the well, not just that loss, but of um, a, a fight that was lost to Miyagi as well. Also, to clench his fist like that, he's already not keen on Daniel. So I think after seeing seeing Daniel seeing what situation they're in, I don't think they're gonna, get you can see how why Daniel wouldn't want to mix Robbie and all of this, especially with Goose involved. Considering the influence that's brought upon. Yeah, because even Daniel could think that Johnny could get a lot meaner with Chris about. Um, so that would partially explain why Daniel decided not to ask or tell Johnny about Robbie. I wondered if I think, did they say later that they did try and contact Robbie's mum, but she couldn't answer or didn't answer like constantly because Robbie would be living there in ages until the end of season 2. Um, Yeah. And also Kreese, earlier he was, um, you know, provided just amp him, Johnny up, and treating him like the lead to making the Cobra Kai a massive entity again, which yeah, once again, it could be. Um, I think it not only is Kreese trying to make Johnny um, feel better about him, but so they can get on better, and it benefits Kreese's current goal. Now he seems to be done with all the army stuff, and Kreese would have also talked about making Cobra Kai bigger to taunt Daniel as well, because Daniel was just pointing out Kreese for losing to Miyagi, and now Kreese is like, you know what, he's not going to taunt me like that. Miyagi's not about. Let's try and get him to knuckle down, and yeah, it's just done, yeah, very slightly then. And yeah, also, yeah, it's the first time Daniel and Kreese had like a proper chat, because the only other time that they did, of course, they would have seen each other in the Cobra Kai dojo in '84, but that was mostly Miyagi doing all the talking. I don't think Daniel and Kreese really had an exchange, and um, although in the car park, yeah, I think Daniel was away from the fight, so yeah, of course he wouldn't mix himself in that situation, because that's just between Miyagi and the Kreese. But then, when Kreese came back in the third film, Kreese does mock about with Daniel, with Terry and Mike already making fun of him before Miyagi takes down all three villains at once. So yeah, yeah, nice to see them chat, and yeah, they're just already not on good terms, because Kreese is why Johnny was like that in the first place, and increase. He was getting the students to hurt him during the fighting twice in '84 and '85, and also twice during the '84 um, tournament. And yeah, there's just plenty of reasons why Daniel wouldn't be a fan of Kreese, and now he's probably going to dislike Johnny even more now that Kreese has come into the picture. Anyway, yeah, that was a whole can of worms. Yeah, so another nice, simple episode. It still achieves quite a bit. It kind of follows on from, yeah, a good, yeah, load of things introduced thanks to the previous season. We have Kreese, who was respecting Johnny by kind of staying silent and seeing how Johnny goes, and then Kreese decides to step up a tad by, you know, still maintaining respect for Johnny, especially talking kindly about him, whilst also with Kreese telling the others, who he is. And yeah, and it also looks like Kreese seems to be better at leading those into dangerous situations better than Johnny does, which partially makes sense because of Kreese being in war and that. So, um, um, yeah, just it's a neat bit there. And yeah, I mean, it'd be to start to understand more of the status quo of or what the premise will be like with Miyagi versus Cobra Kai, but with Miyagi being a far smaller um, entity. And also, as I'm rewatching this episode, when Kreese was going, Jesus Christ, like before I knew that Kreese was reading the yellow shirt, I think it has a double meaning that Kreese was also just looking at what kind of students were being hired, and they just look more geekier than he thought, because um, nah, scrap there, because, but yeah, I think when you like look at as far as I can remember in the original films, Kreese was teaching a lot of teens that were already kind of tough looking, but in this new series, with gathering a much different variety of people, and for Kreese to see some smaller nerdy people. That, yeah, of course they would kind of question that. But that's of course he doesn't want to question anything about Johnny. He wants to like I said, all of the respect to make Johnny more the lead of the dojo. And what I also like about this is Daniel does attempt some balance here between teaching and the business. And I think one practical reason is because he's only teaching two people. They were given the tips for what to do, and they can work on that in their own time whilst he's at their business. But as as you'll see later on, there's some more complicated tasks that require more of his presence. More students as well. So yeah, that what's this? Sorry, I just got a random notification. I thought it was something important. Anyway, and Daniel's done a bit more to the place as well. He's made the platform on the pool something to train on instead of just making it a decoration. And like I said, sorry, I'm just sorry, I'm just trying to get distracted. When you just have like a load of neurons firing in your head because you're trying to remember what the episode is achieving. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see more of Daniel's innovative ideas. Just the same as Johnny as well. If he's willing to punish the students using a vehicle, God knows what he's going to do, and also just figuring out or just wondering what Grease will do, because you would wonder, what Grease will be like on his own, at this point, considering how much experienced and his kind of wisdom, how that could play out if he had the dojo to himself. So yeah, at the end of the day, Sam and Robbie have learnt a new technique that will pay off in a cool way. The students, learnt a very valuable lesson. Johnny and Chris seem to be getting on well. Robbie is now living in a better area as well. Yeah, I think this is like the most successful episode for the characters. Like, everyone seems to be in a vaguely good spot. Well, not Johnny and Daniel, obviously, but yeah, just goes to show how quickly things do go downhill. I also like seeing Daniel and Amanda, seeing what they're like at the dealership. Probably what they used to be like before karate starts coming in and mixing up everything. I say something else I want to address is that some people haven't really been keen on Amanda until season 3, and granted, there's a couple of my favourite moments of her in season 3 where she does have like moments that are amusing and just more agency for her, things that make her more likable and purposeful, because in these first 2 seasons she almost acts as the obstacle and reminder of what Daniel has initially had, before karate starts mixing in. She's almost like the voice of reason and a lot of counters and just questioning a lot of Daniel's choices. But she still has a character within her. She's not some kind of bot questioning Daniel with everything. She's she seems to be a good mom. She's good at her business work. She seems to be sensible. She seems to be a broad thinker, especially considering to get the parents involved with Robbie's living situation. And yeah, and karate is something that she doesn't seem to mind. It's when Daniel's priorities get out of whack is when she gets annoyed. So she's not anti-karate. She just is not something that she has as much interest in, especially as we'll probably never get to see her do karate. Or it'll be interesting. There'll be one season left, and there's been other talks of projects like a film based in the series, but I don't think that's going to happen because someone has to. Um, yeah, not everyone has to do karate, and that's fine. But yeah, just going back to Mando's criticisms. Yeah, I can see why, but once again, they are improved. Like I said, more agency, more likability. When I said amusing earlier, I do like in season 3. There's the scene in the courtroom when she shouted across the room. I do quite like that. Because sometimes it can make someone look a bit preachy, but it is coming from an understanding place, and not to mention, yeah, I'll just make a full stop on that. And also, just going back to this episode, yeah, for Amanda to tell Daniel to be more like him instead of being more like Miyagi, that's also, yeah, just like a really nice touch. It could also, I think that line is also something worth considering at the end of the season too. Um, so yeah, I think that's all I can think of. Yeah, just nice, straightforward, plenty of training and montages, and a couple of just, learning. Yeah, we're still just learning more about these characters and more connections are being made. This is the first time Chris interacts with the dojo, well, Johnny's dojo. So, yeah, just I don't remember what happens in the following episode, but I'm sure we're all excited. So, yeah, I'll leave you with that. See ya. Hello, welcome to the commentary for Cobra Kai Season 2, Episode 3. God, it's hard to keep track of numbers. So, yeah, I feel like there's been, I talked about in the couple of episodes ago about, talk about the titles. I think I would like to talk about the rest of the titles, depending if I have enough to say about them, and I probably would like to talk about the posters of each season too. Because each poster is really interesting, and yeah, so we're on episode 3 called Fire and Ice, which of course means the opposing dojos. The word ice could ring a few bells in Easter egg, which we'll see later on, and also after catching a glimpse of this episode, I vaguely remember what this episode's all about. It also has one of my favourite Johnny lines as well. I'll let you know when you get to it. But anyway, get your Cobra Kai episode ready, and we will play in 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, what have you got for us? Oh, there you go, he's back at the store again. As you're saying later, Johnny tries his best not to be a nerd, but yeah, he's just, everyone needs the basics. Yeah, I remember, when someone did a YouTube video talking about how Cobra Kai does its pacing, and he uses this scene as an example, because I can see why. It's a scene that flows by quite well. He opens up every Microsoft document. Yeah, I don't think he's ever learned a computer. Yep, he doesn't even know what Wi-Fi is. Oh no, the man's not even giving him any advice, so now Johnny has to work through it. And the book may be helpful, but not the alcohol. Strike first. What a password! It looks like an old. Yeah, it's a much older laptop too. I can't wait to. I remember what else he researches. Contest. I. Oh, okay. Okay. Okay, that was nice for him to learn about his new films. Now he's looking at absolute rubbish. Oh, that was kind of cool. Oh, that was good. Did these YouTube videos exist? And of course, he's going to question the karate people. Oh, now this is where um, the tide is turned. So yeah, as shown later on, Daniel has been wanting to get new students, and he's it's his one of his methods of taking down Cobra Kai. And he goes part of his advert. Reminds everyone about his achievement, or one of them, but disses Johnny as well, especially that the snake comment. As Johnny has shown earlier, and yeah, Daniel's not making it into a business, so making it free that already gives Daniel some advantage. I wonder what song is playing. Ah, it's a modern song. Okay. Yeah, I think that's what the season has done more so. It's played like some tracks that come out recently, and it's mainly to fit the modern generation. Which, yeah, I can see that working, especially if the likes of Johnny have had the older rock songs to almost like as his themes. Rumble and Reseda, is Reseda the where the party took place, or the tournament? Oh, there you go. He's slightly better compared to his attempt in their first season. Talking to women. But also, yeah, to get a Cobra Kai ball and a towel, that is a good step up for merchandise. But yeah, also when Miguel was talking about hanging around with them lot, therefore not needing to be part of Cobra Kai, but now he's thinking he can have the merchandise and be part of Cobra Kai that way. But no, he needs to do the training. I kind of miss what Hawk was saying, but I do remember the idea of Miguel bringing up um, uh, Robbie. So yeah, that gives them an interesting goal this year. This episode rather. What was she mad about? Oh, oh, okay. I thought the video looked rather cheap. Okay, I can see why it's annoying. The reason I say cheap is because I thought the clips he would have edited him himself. I could do that on Clip Jump, but yeah, looks like he's hired an editor or something. And yeah, we can see more evidence of Amanda getting more annoyed. Yeah, it just goes to show the downward slope from episode 2. There you go, more annoyance. Now Daniel's coming up with more reasons. Yeah, Amanda has not, Amanda has no idea who Kreese is, not until much later on. Well, there you go, it's the first time we've seen that bloke this season. Oh yeah, this one also has another line I like. But yeah, poor Daniel's getting trolled. Yeah. It's such a shame because it's just such an honest advert, but now he's just getting all of these comments like that. Oh yeah, I wonder how old that song is, if that was Miyoko's favourite. And the man just like, seriously, what are you two on about? Oh, and now he's bringing up bots. I think bots aren't. I don't know much about bots on YouTube, so yeah, I'm not going to attempt to comment that. But yeah, also yeah, Daniel. I guess actually, no, this is probably a couple of days between the last episode, and so it just looks like Daniel's dropped too much focus away from the business. If Christian has come back, so no wonder Daniel wants to amp up. There you go. The advert has started to become a concern for everyone else. Well, unfortunately, Greece, you were going out and about, so I don't think you would have been encountering Miyagi anyway. Yeah, imagine if Kreese did almost like lie in wait to try to get hold of Miyagi, take care of him, as he would say. But I think, back then, losing to him twice, yeah, I think, Kreese definitely wouldn't have wanted to do that, shortly after the success in '85. Yeah, just, yeah. Okay, so okay, so yeah, they're just talking about Robbie sticking about and all the word for not all for okay. So I thought Rob was going to get mad with the whole friends comment, but it looks like Robbie's just very appreciative that he has a place to stay, which is why he says, the following line. I wonder if you see these people again, like in the background. And this is where the cynical nature about the trolls leading to karate that explains again. I wondered if Daniel could have squeezed it in the advert to make it more misleading, but no, an adverts do need to go straight to the point. But Robert is trying to add to, um, why the trolls will help, but oh, kids and trolls, am I right? Now they're gonna lose money training at Cobra Kai. I wonder what the cost is. There must be a background hint somewhere. Is it like £10 an hour? Even more? Oh, there you go. He's getting a tree. I wonder where you got the tree from. Okay, so they get some originality other than, um, you know, kicking trees in that. Self offense. A good one. I like the framing. Yeah, I should do more adverts. Yeah, it's a shame we didn't see the final advert, but it's nice to see the making of it. And he's got some ideas as well, despite not being a market person. Johnny doesn't know what copyright is. Hash brown. Just suddenly realised he means hashtag, not hash brown. What's it? Oh wow, that's like. Oh, okay. So, yeah, that storage room does become more purposeful later on, but it's just where to keep spare things for Johnny. But yeah, now we got to a serious scene. Okay, yeah, about the snooping part, at least that like yeah, so at least they understand that part. But yeah, they're not snoopy comment. It's just sorry about the breaking the recording. I've accidentally pressed the record button. But yeah, as I was trying to say that at least Miguel tries to say that it wasn't intentional to find that out. About Robbie. Just it's information you just come across. Um, but yeah. Um, Yeah, so that we've seen in the last episode because despite whether Robbie was getting hurt or not, both students were um, still going against the rules and going too far with things. So yeah, you can see why Johnny says that it's not relevant. I wonder what else Daniel what Miguel was going to say there. I can make some guesses, but yeah, I think it's probably a way for Miguel to process the information. And also, it looks like Kreese was probably listening to that. Yeah, I suppose we'll see what he does about the information. Okay, Lewis. Okay, so I can see the banner in the background, so that means this thing is to promote the dealership. Although, as far as I can remember, Daniels then has an idea to, yeah, right there, yeah, to, oh, okay, yeah, Amanda brought it up first, despite the joke. Oh no, so yeah, because in the previous episode, they were trying their best to sell 10 cars, especially with needing to get the numbers up. But now that business is going to take more of a hit because of the karate being promoted and not the business. And as you'll see later on, the his karate doesn't get any promotion, which all kind of goes for nothing. Unfortunately, you'll see why it doesn't work for Daniel. Although we can guess, considering Cobra Kai is trying to advertise themselves. And yeah, there was just more looks from Amanda being disappointed that he's Daniel's losing his focus again, and with the advert not quite working, and not getting much people in, and not really overseeing what the trolls do. Yeah, you can see why Daniel's trying to go for another way to promote the business. But yeah, like I said, it just goes at the cost of the dealership. I wondered if they could have done both at once, but I think it must be quite a hassle to own 2 stands at once, because festival would have limited space after all. Oh yeah, so yes, oh, so yeah, Chris trying to make a guess there. Um, sorry about that long commentary earlier. Yeah, it looks like what Chris has said, is prompt Johnny to um, be a bit more open about Robbie, because I think when Miguel was like sticking around, I think both of them were thinking, oh dear, with Robbie being his son, what kind of position is Miguel in, because they're getting too close at a point where it's not no longer just a student teacher relationship. There, they get to more closer than that. And yeah, well, oh yeah, I remember this scene, so we can see why Johnny brought Miguel here, and it's nice for Johnny to explain more about it. But also, yeah, Miguel was no Hawk was trying to nearly talked back at trying to talk back at Johnny, presumably about how the kind of grudge Hawk has against Robbie. But yeah, Johnny definitely doesn't want to hear any of that earlier. But yeah, right here we're just explaining about what was happening during Robbie's birth, and yeah, it looks like with no mum, the bad dad, and still pretty young as well. Oh, actually, no, he would have been, like in more of a decent age to have a kid, but he still didn't know what to do. So yeah, just a really interesting backstory to fill more gaps. Yeah, it's also quite sad that Miguel ends up fighting against someone who Johnny's talked about how Robbie first came about in this very sentimental manner, and only for Miguel to have this rival with him. It's really sad to consider what happens later on. And Johnny seems to really get to Johnny. This does. Oh yeah, so that's really nice, because I think Johnny's very unsure about getting Robbie on his side. Sorry, did I say? So yeah, Johnny trying to get really doubtful about Robbie coming back. So that's where he almost sees Miguel as a second chance or a surrogate. And okay, yeah, because I think we all know Aisha's definitely the kind of person who goes out and about, and not to mention her dad being a business person, so you can see why she would know that kind of information. I wonder if she's found out something from Sam, or did Sam tell her? No, she wouldn't have done that. Oh, even Amanda's not very enthusiastic towards Daniel there. We also see Raymond again, so that brings up the question of how relevant he is to the story. Yeah, also Chris much earlier said about teaching Robbie. That is definitely another thing to keep in mind. And also we got to snippets of what this whole festival is like, so that's neat. The place looks fun. It's more like a fair. Oh, there we go, another flashback. I did like that scene in the second film. Yeah, because that's the flashback came back then because that's what Daniel was thinking about, and I think it also helps provide more context because that could have been anything instead of just being ice. So yeah, it's nice for the flashback to clarify that. Wait, was the oh okay? Did was the dealership mentioned just then as if Daniel's trying to lightly promote the car stuff, but mainly about his karate, or is it a sponsor? I could try and look back on that again. Yeah, because I don't think. Oh yeah, actually, no, I think Miyagi did already have a logo as shown in the early films, but yeah, I like the Tribuna logo. It's very fitting. Wait, does Moo not know where Hawk is? Oh, unless she's wondering what this is all about. When she asked that question. Yeah, still carry on as yeah, because the Ninja Turtles came from the 80s, so yeah, that's why you would have been talking about it then. It's also nice to clarify what kind of weapon it is because we used to just call it a stick, but no, it's called a bow, but just without the W. And yeah, cool to see a bow being part of this style of karate. Um, yeah, we do see that come back every now and again. Sorry. Well, yeah, it looks like it's going well for Daniel so far. A wide variety of moves that are shown. Oh, I bet it's the rock music that's yeah, that's probably caused the interruption. Oh yeah, it is. Yeah, sorry, I've had my volume on. I've just been watching this whole thing silence. Yeah, and the whole music and presence. Yeah, and all the flashy imagery. It's got all the audience there. Yeah, because yeah, at least Daniel's trying to be accurate with Carl to be nice and straightforward and calm, but yeah, it just looks like Cobra has more the appeal, especially as they won the tournament. All there goes some hard hitting demonstrations. Also, the way Kreese was like more sparks, he kind of sounded like a commander then, being like, send them out, uh, start firing these. Yeah, just an interesting part. It's cool to see what kind of role Kreese has, and also for them to smile at each other. Um, Johnny and Miguel, definitely, yeah, they're definitely closer. Oh no, Dimitri. I bet in the meantime, in the middle of this, I bet Hulk was like, "Hey, when I make the signal, quickly come on stage." Oh, there you go, and then they have the merchandise. Another marketing advantage. Oh, is that concrete? Oh, does that? I wonder if that does anything to the concrete. But regardless, yeah, it's just some food to make Johnny more fearsome. Now that is one of his best feats. Crikey. I think that's a bit of a stretch of reality. Unless are people actually capable of this amount of concrete breaking? Oh, there you go, Chris being pleased with the achievement, and for Johnny to say we did it. That yeah, Johnny's definitely a very communicative person. Oh, Amanda was there as well. She stayed about, but yeah, they pretty much lost. And also, yeah, a pretty interesting detail to see all of that ice melt, because yeah, it would have been cracked sooner, but fortunately not. Also, by the way, this song was played in the trailer of the first season, I think, because the YouTube adverts used to, play adverts of the show, because it was a YouTube original product before Netflix bought it. I wonder what the future seasons would have looked like if YouTube had it all without Netflix and the funding and that. I think it would have played out more similar, especially with the showrunners probably still having the creative freedoms, considering how good they've shown to be. So I think Netflix would have helped with more funding, unless they did influence some ideas. I guess that's something to research in my own time. So yeah, another big stepping stone. It kind of reminds me of the previous episode where it's it's kind of weird when I say the significant ones versus the background ones, but I think at this point, I think all of them do have their uses. If anything, it's just like the scale and yeah, like I said, all of it just varies. I think the last one is definitely more on the simpler side because it's just two training moments throughout, and yeah, and I think it would have taken that approach, to take its time, just slowly build up what the premise is, and I think now the premise has been set up. That's why on this third episode it does feel like a bit more is going on, and it feels a bit quicker too. Yeah, not a bad thing. It's just it just depends. What kind of episode you have. Yeah, once again, apologies for the misrecording. Hopefully, I was in line. But I think I used to think that with the commentaries you have to be extra precise, but no, thankfully it's a bit more broad. And talk about certain things and when they happen. Anyway, that's a side note. But yeah, I really like this episode as well. So everything's going well for Johnny and Cobra Kai, but definitely not for Miyagi-Do. And yeah, it looks like Cobra Kai had some trouble to face, but as it turns out, all of that marketing effort done by Daniel is just all been for nothing. So yeah, lost money on the adverts, all of that prep for the stage, and less promotion towards the business. Yeah, that's going to be consequential towards the business, because I remember what the consequences are. But yeah, just like to see and hear these little snippets. It's just interesting what else to learn. I think I'll also I think this is definitely the first time we've seen the pawn shop pawn shop owner. Sorry, pawn with a W. First time we see him in this season, and I don't think, when was the last time we saw him? Was it when Johnny was trying to give him the coins and the Atari? I think so. But yeah, and also I think the bloke could have been nicer to give him some tips on the laptop, but I think just must have been losing patience with Johnny, especially if Johnny didn't really know how that laptop works. Yeah, I think it's definitely the funniest. Not only probably one of the quickest opening scenes, but with all that cutting, but definitely the funniest as well. Like, the first time he's had freedom on the internet, and that's what he does. Some research of his favourite films, and then he just misses the plot a bit. God, imagine talking that to Miguel. Hey, did you know that the dinosaurs built the pyramids? And yeah, I said that reminds me, because in season 4, Johnny tells Miguel about how he doesn't like history at school, and Johnny just has the wrong kind of history in his head. God knows what else he would have been looking at on the internet as well. Yeah, so really funny opening sequence. No, I'll give them that. And yeah, and also thanks to the stage work, looks like if I think Cobra Kai was doing well with getting new students anyway, but I think Cobra Kai were just doing their best to to not let Miyagi-Do outclass them because so the advert didn't quite work, but the stage could have if it wasn't for Cobra Kai showing up. So Cobra Kai now have a bit more numbers, and Miyagi-Do still has nothing. But I wonder if I'm still speaking. I wonder if Miyagi-Do would have any students. If the ice trick would have got hold of students, or new students, because when people were showing up at the house, I wondered if they say, oh, don't go to Miyagi-Do, it involves chores. I wonder if that kind of influence spreads around. I don't think that's a thing in this season. Would have been interesting to see how Miyagi-Do is talked about, despite the very little presence it has. So yeah, I guess the thought to have, and also there's Johnny talking about I think that's another highlight in this episode. Johnny and Miguel talking about Robbie, how he first came about and the kind of position Johnny was in, which is part of why Johnny struggled to be a parent in the first place. So that's some questions answered from the previous scene, like the good sequel. And there's a couple of moments with Dimitri and Hawk. So not only is Dimitri seemed to be really missing out. I just suddenly realised all of those plans Amanda was holding, was that for the festival later, when they mentioned the fireworks? I've got a bit wrong. Anyway, Dimitri's missing out, not being part of Cobra Kai, which is something for the, just something we'll see more of later. But then for Hawk to use Dimitri as a demonstration, it definitely adds to how Hawk is, continuing to be more impressive compared to Dimitri, and Dimitri, wants to still hang about, but he's just missing the major perks of Cobra Kai. That's like a small part, but definitely pays off more. And they're still mates at this point, which is also something else to consider. And we also see Daniel going more out of whack. I think if with Kreese coming in, who's a proper threat, so no wonder the whole focus is going off like a really good first step to right Daniel's misbalance in between the karate and the car business. And then Kreese is now a bit more familiar of Robbie's situation and how that mixes in with karate. I guess that's another small seed that's planted too. And I think what's also good about this episode is that in this modern age, what would advertising karate look like? And we see the internet being used and the stage being used, and it's a bit of a shame we didn't really see what the final Cobra Kai advert was on that phone. Maybe they thought the Fed did probably decide to ditch the idea and then go for the stage, and thinking that was enough. That's something to assume, not what the show says. And maybe none of these students know. Oh, but Eli used to be a computer nerd. He would have done editing stuff for Dimitri as shown in season 4. Like Eli could have been good at making the video. And I'm just wondered if they scrapped the idea. The character scrapped it, or if the writers did kind of forget the advert. I don't want to theorize anything too harsh, without knowing the proper reason. But I think my assumption is, they didn't really know how to do the advert, especially with them being unable to put on Thunderstruck, and the festival would have done them well enough. I wonder if maybe one of the students, like Eli, could have been making the video only for Aisha to spread the word about the festival, being like, oh, scrap that video idea, we'll go to the stage. So just a very interesting thought. It's a bit weird that a forgotten video is the biggest flaw in this episode. No, never mind that though, because it does highlight more of the position between Cobra Kai and Miyagi-Do. Cobra Kai, despite being in a good position already, is continuing to get better and bigger, and then Miyagi-Do is still down in the dumps. And if anything, it's worse. With the loss of money it would have lost. With the things I mentioned earlier. And I think the best part is Johnny talking to Miguel about Robbie's birth, and because even Robbie was like nearly not Robbie. Oh, sorry. Why the name's so similar? Sorry. But yeah, to see Johnny tear up a bit as well. Just goes to show how much how more sentimental he's been, not just with Miguel, but just in general. Because we've never seen Johnny like this. Because in the original film, like, sure, he was a bit spooked up by Kreese, and would have been scared when when being choked by Kreese, and even when Johnny having a go in Kreese as well. Like, we've seen that kind of side to Johnny, but to be in like nearly in tears, like, wow, yeah, you would have thought that. But yeah, regardless, Johnny's still, well, yeah, one of my favourite funny lines, about not knowing what copyright is, and and the hashtag thing. Yeah, that's hilarious. Does that make season 2 funnier? I can't really say that because of one episode, but it is definitely some of my favourite comedy from the whole show. So yeah, I think that's all I can say for this episode. I think when I used to struggle which episode is which, but now I can definitely think of this one as like the marketing episode, as we could call it. Anyway, I'll probably stop right there. Anyway, so yeah, like I said, sorry about the glitch in the recording midway, but other than that, I'll see you in the next episode. Hello, welcome to Cobra Kai Season 2, Episode 4. What's this episode's title? Season 2, Episode 4, Moment of Truth. Is that a title of a song? Okay, so I was just having a good think about it. Not to mention, I might not speak as much because my throat's not great, but I'll do the best as possible. Let's just see what happens. So if you could get your episode, 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, so I wonder if that's where we'll get a new character introduction, and I think this is where, I think I'm right. Yeah, is this Dimitri? It is, yeah. I think I remembered the premise of this episode already. He's scared of Johnny, but he doesn't seem to be scared of him so far. Yeah, so despite Dimitri already being established, he seems to be very encouraged by the festival. Oh, he said another go. Sorry, farts making noises. Yes, Dimitri's trying to find some boundaries, but yeah, I don't think Kreese is the kind of person to accept them. Kreese makes the boundaries. Yeah, Dimitri just seems to be ever so fussy, especially later on. But yeah, I think over time it does become less fussy and more accepting of what to do. What an introduction. Just already messing with his tattoo. I think Dimitri's just, because he's definitely not a shy person, he's just someone who emits thoughts, but now he's just talking about his disincreased tattoo and about inaccuracies. It just looks like Chris isn't very keen on him, evidently. Yeah, you don't touch other people's tattoos, mate. God, when was the last time he had a nosebleed? Yeah, he'll be fine. But yeah, that is definitely part of the episode. I guess we'll wait and see. Oh yeah, so yeah, Miyagi's still down the dumps. Yeah, that's something else I was wanting to say in the previous episode, because of that proper demonstration, it helps with how the fighter can work. So yeah, it's an interesting idea come from Robbie. Oh, is he making the car more drivable? Drivable, is that a word? Which does come into later actually in this season. Oh yeah, so I think with with Miyagi not doing too well, he's just kind of shifted his focus back in cars. But um, yeah, I think that's part of his origin of how he sold cars. I remember more about that in season 3, but that honest approach. Yeah, you see that in all of the marketing he tried. Oh yeah, and that's where Daniel has yet another method, which we'll see later on. Oh yeah, there goes Evil driving in this car. Oh no, I wonder where they're going to go to. Oh wow, he's talking about his war experiences with the other students. I wonder what Miguel thinks of it. I think he's probably a bit unsure because he probably hopes that Chris doesn't overtake uh, Johnny's lead because of the interest he's getting with the other students. Oh, it's the tax man. I suppose with all the income, it does create questions for what the tax things is like, but it looks like I've got an answer for that. I'm surprised he's even allowed to do that. Oh yeah, so similar to Dimitri's been established, but he's gone more encouraged by the show. Okay, so I think Johnny's up to date thanks to that catch up. So despite being an adult, he's still rather young at heart. But thanks to that, yeah, Dolly's yeah, is willing to keep him. And I think, yeah, the new character is in the back somewhere. Where is she? Oh, is it just who considers? Oh, he was about to say until, yeah, because I don't think the door rang. So yeah, I think she was um, already in line. Or Aisha's wondering who she is. And yeah, I think this is where when people, when those were um, stating a flaw with season two about the more emphasis on kids. I think we've been introduced to two already, plus Raymond if you count him, and now we've got her as well. Um, but I think story wise, if the karate show is to mean something, then that's the payoff to it. But I think it's also just like a subversion because instead of getting someone new who's then having to train as well, we now have a new person who seems to be well established. And like granted, like every new student we encounter do vary in skill level, but now we have her who's clearly very talented. Yeah, they're both impressed. Yeah. But yeah, from that fighting earlier, it definitely makes more of a threat. Being able to fight Miguel as well. Yeah, it makes you wonder what's going to be happening. Yep, Daniel has his ideas. Yeah, there we go. That's the idea stated. Yeah, it's a very neat idea because when his mum used to worry about the trouble he was getting in the first film, yeah, it is a very interesting concept he's going to have a go with. Oh, Amanda's there too. Is there a reason why she's here? Oh, he's called a doll. This must be a common label because Crease used the word doll with a waitress in a couple of episodes ago. Oh, okay, so yeah, here's another interesting thing. So if Johnny, no, sorry, if Robbie has this history of this dodgy stuff, it makes you wonder if any of that here kind of history comes back, and this episode is when it kind of does. Yeah, so with Aisha clearly being impressed, she's going to get to know Tori more, or she's already mentioning Sam, so that's yeah, you'll see how that turns out. Also, that as shown later on, that bracelet is actually sharp. As shown later on. Yeah, seems to be a good disguised weapon. Yeah, some nice funny lines along the way. So a new friendship has begun. 10,000? Oh my god. Yeah, Kreese is a soldier though, which does. Oh, okay, so that's another interesting thing in this episode, which you'll see later on. But yeah, as shown later on in the show, Kreese is able to get away with certain things or maintain a certain level of power because of his soldier status. Um, but I think if that injury happens in the dojo, Duiju could be seen as um, exaggerating it if he ever wanted to report it. But um, yeah, not every injury leads to jail though. Yeah, it just depends on the context. Oh, okay, so they were they talking about Jimichi then. Okay. Oh, okay. So they say Mega's going to trying to talk Johnny about Kreese, especially with yeah, especially with the misinformation earlier. Yeah, I think Johnny's yeah, looks like he's going to have a good think about it, or it's probably like a bit of a doubt. I think he's keeping an open mind, as you'll see later on. So yeah, I think he's going to pay attention to what McKenna's going to say there. And then gave us his Daniel attempt in this method. Oh yeah, so Daniel's trying to talk about the kind of danger kids go into, and so yeah, because instead of immediately being like, "Oh, how about karate?" he's just trying to build up a conversation first to yeah, to their personal touch, which Daniel talks about. So um, yeah, definitely an idea. Always Sam spotted Aisha, has she? She has. The area looks nice though. Adds to this looks like a further place from the valley. Yeah, so she already considers both of them a team, which is nice. Yeah, so yeah, it looks like Robbie has likely encouraged her to have a chat with Aisha. She must, I think Sam must be wondering who the person is. I know her name is Tori, but Sam doesn't know that yet. Okay, so they just talk about the marketing, and because of how close Aisha is to Cobra Kai, she started to get more defensive, which is also relevant to Eli, especially with what Dimitri's saying about the dojo. So they're trying to have their own kind of banter, which is nice, and yeah, it's almost as if their friendship could work again. And yeah, this is an interesting scene because yeah, the yeah, because I wonder what Robbie did. Probably stole something. Oh, so he knows the name. So they must be like almost like celebrities of um, the area. Oh, she's defending Robbie. Yeah, because it would have been a long time after all. So she looks like she has pin under her wing, and I think from the look and the kind of voice she gives, I think that kind of tells the person, I don't think he's that kind of person anymore. He's with us, and it looks like she'll be keeping an eye on him as well. And what's also interesting is that Robbie does decide to leave because he thinks it's a lot of bother. It's just letting him get to him, and Amanda's trying her best to, lighten the mood. Yeah, that's actually a really nice a moment from Amanda. Oh, is he letting Robbie stay? I thought Robbie. he's stayed in the end. Okay, well done, Amanda, for keeping him in. Yeah, needs some peace and quiet. Hotel. Oh, this is where we learn about his living situation, I think. Oh, I wonder if I think he does fib here too, and Johnny catches up on that. Just really seeing what Chris's living situation's like, which could be tied to. I guess it's more of a theme instead of being a parallel to Robbie's living situation. Oh, looks like Thanos got hold of another person too, and they're still. Oh my god, hell of a lot more people. Sorry, not sure what I just said then. Hell of a lot. Oh, sorry, a lot more people. Let's just rephrase it as that. Oh, she's Aisha's mum, and is that her dad? Like far as I can remember from the first episode. Oh no, yeah, I do remember how it got foiled, but it was because I thought when I past watched this, she was just a random parent with a random student, but no, we're talking about Aisha, who we know Cobra Kai has done somewhat better. It's just done a lot of good for her, but yeah, they always don't see what Daniel has experienced. So yeah, once again, he loses, and this whole marketing thing from the previous episode is continuing, and I think that's where the Cobra Kai's decision to take the stage really yeah benefits them even after the performance. Because that would have been filmed by residents instead of hiring the filming person. They might have, but I doubt it. Also, we get to see Tori's a bit dodgy too. She's already seeing someone, and looks like Sam and Tori aren't getting on. Or they're throwing up little slides and slides at each other, especially with someone's really unsure of her. Oh yeah, for Aisha to choose Tori, yeah, it's a real shame. I think Aisha would be nervous to turn down Tori anyway, not to mention the whole Cobra Kai thing. So yeah, it looks like that's more important to Aisha compared to Sam, which is a real shame. I mean, oh yeah, there you go. He's just trying to clear up Chris's situation. I suppose Chris hasn't looked around yet, but I suppose oh yeah, so yeah, Daniel's really feeling the loss from earlier, and he's just wondering what to do. And then he's encountered this person, and I do remember the result of this scene. So because with the whole aspect about fishing, which is similar to Miyagi, it's just waiting for people to come instead of encouraging them. Because if Cobra Kai is all about nabbing as many people as possible, Miyagi Do, from the beginning with Daniel, has been Daniel needing the karate instead of the senseis needing the students, which is just another difference between the two dojos. Shame we don't see him again. He's considering how well they get on. I never really seen fishing on the beach like that, but but I've seen fish that shallow in the sea, so yeah, it's possible. Ah, yeah, this is another interesting scene. So, because this area's been invaded by dodgy people before, Robbie seems to have some idea, despite checking with the lifeguard first. But then, Samantha already goes to conclusions. Evidently, especially managing to steal a bottle. Yeah. Sam could have asked nicely, even Tori could have been like, "Hey, I'll show you," but fortunately, they're just too bitter against one another because of the small snides from earlier. And Aisha, is being defensive of Tori as well. Oh no. It's not even karate, and yep, San loses. Oh my gosh. Yeah, this is an interesting moment. So Aisha was, initially asking if she was okay, but after Sam disses Tori again, Aisha's just back on Team Tori just instantly, which, yeah, I don't think they're friends again, unfortunately. Okay, so Johnny is caught up with Kreese, and um, yeah, we'll see more about that situation. Oh yeah, so Robbie remembers a trick him and his mates used to have, and so yeah, there we go. There we go. Here are the lads from the previous season. I suppose the nice, well, the flashback helps with, reminding us who they are, and it can even act as a like a reminder for those who, well, just if anyone hasn't seen, season one. And also Robbie setting up the phone, that idea of recording karate, he's gonna take that chance to make. I wondered where he came from. He whacked Robbie from the side. Um, yeah, did Robbie not see or hear him? Unless did he climb down slowly? I'm not sure. Well, we'll just have to say it's really good stealth. But as you see later on, it's member of threes. Yeah, so we see more of Chris's situation at the moment. Well, there goes being civil with her. That's nice. Yeah, I wonder what I kind of missed what the argument was about. I'll probably have to go back to it. And now Johnny's found out the truth. That's going to be a bit more embarrassing for him. Oh yeah, with a good whack like that, yeah, Robbie will be struggling to fight. Oh no. I wonder how um, Daniel knew Robbie was there. Oh, okay, so if he said about checking the lifeguard and Amanda passes that information, then maybe that could explain why. And I presume earlier he must have been hearing or even seeing, Robbie in danger. So, okay, at least I can. Yeah, that makes right enough sense. There we go. Daniel's just beaten one person by that. Yeah. Because of these being street people, it's yeah, I can see why they probably don't recognise the Russo. Well, there's the board, but yeah, I think. Well, actually, no, I think they have some idea, especially with what kind of business Russo had, with his name plattered all over. But yeah, it's a first proper fight with Daniel, and yeah, it's good stuff, you know, and yeah, he attacked in defence, which makes a good video for Robbie. And also earlier, I thought they forgot about the wallets by walking past them, but did they pick them up? I'll just have to go back to that again. I think, yeah, they would have been picked up, yeah, surely. They could have accidentally forgotten about it and then come back to the beach again. But yeah, that flashback earlier was used in Karate Kid 3, and um, and even if that took place between 1 and the start of 3, I think it just goes to show what kind of situation Chris has been in. Last 10 years, okay, because I was wondering if all of that war stuff to both the students and Johnny in the first episode was all a fib. But if it's only the last 10 years, then he would have done some soldier work. Soldier work before the last 10 years. Or the following 10 years, rather. Yeah. So I think Johnny at this point, so despite what Miguel wanted to clarify a couple of things to Johnny about Crease. Looks like Johnny was already having an open mind, listening to Miguel, and then see Crease, just have that honest discussion between them. It's definitely a close moment they have together. And then there's Johnny trying to be, the best help he can be for Crease, even talking about defeat not existing. Yep, still cheating Johnny's leader. And even seeing the flag as well, really. Yeah, Greece is definitely a patriotic person. Yep, the friendship is definitely over. Has Sam been updated about what happened to Robbie? Probably from that look. Yep, so after that fighting, it looks like Daniel needed to refresh himself, and also just thinking, about the situation earlier, with the fisherman, as you'll see later on. Yeah, so Daniel sees that Robbie was trying to do the right thing by standing up. Yeah, it's nice for Daniel to recognise that. Ooh. Yeah, because I think whilst it would be really good material to, show how it would, fight against, be good against criminals, and even the footage right now could be good evidence to get the three of them locked up for, being the aggressors. But as said here, it's students that need the senseis, not the other way around. So, yeah, let the fish come to you. And got some evidence of that. Oh, okay, so another scene I was thinking of that doesn't happen till later. I think it's just natural water, I think. Unless it does vary in water depending on the heat and rain levels. And despite being surprised, Daniel's in relief and the others like, yay, new student. Yeah, because after being majorly put off by Cobra, no thanks to Kreese and even Johnny before then, it looks like you can see why Miyagi-Do would be a I just lost my train of thought. Sorry, but you're probably get the idea. Oh, so now they're senseis together. So they're now teaching about a specific kick, even expanding more about it, and it looks like Johnny and Miguel have clarified that as well. Even that shot of Hawk goes to show how Hawk has been influenced by Kreese. Okay, let's clarify a couple of things. Now we reach the end of the episode, so let's just go back to the end of the beach scene. So I just want to see, because I think my assumption could be correct that they probably left the wallets and then reported it again. yeah, just wait to see what happens. Um, yeah, definitely an episode that has a lot going on once again. We've introduced Tori, and from the get go, it's already set up a rival for Sam. Because I think they could have made Aisha more menacing, and then they become foes. You know, similar to what happens to um, Eli and Dimitri. But I think instead of doing both at the same time, it's making it fresh by having Sam to have a new opponent and to have a former mate, defend the foe more so than Sam. So yeah, it just helps the variation. And um, yeah, because I think when looking at the kids in this show, because Robbie and Sam are, you know, they are. I was about to say the offspring. I don't want to sound too scientific. They're the children of some of the original characters. You have Miguel, who's a new fresh face. You know, someone who's not relevant at all to Johnny nor Daniel until Miguel moves in, and then yeah, you have Miguel's mates. Both of them who have different karate experiences. Yeah, there's Aisha who helped with the numbers and the financial side of things in just having a new student benefited Johnny, which um, helped, and also Aisha joining, which causes complications. With Sam and not being helped by Miguel coming in, and then yeah, you do have the other students as well, like Bert, who acts as another perspective, and then we had the two new lads, with given the nicknames. Um, so there's that. Then we have Tori, who's new, also detached from anyone else, like Miguel. Yeah, she's only there to. Not only there, she does have more purpose as time goes on, but yeah, she's mainly a foe to Sam from a long while. But yeah, the reason I'm saying is just analysing what each kid's role is like, because not to mention there's Kenny, who's new in season 4. He comes about, and the show even brings back Kyla too as another like background character to the dojo too. So yeah, it's just interesting to think about, because the classic characters like come in their own time, and well, yeah, when they come, they have a much bigger purpose, and yeah, all of these students, they number up and they do have their own function, but at the same time, seems to be more of them, which is why um, some people might find this misbalance between the old and new cast. Um, I think it's still fairly yeah, I think it's still fairly balanced. Like I said, it's just the last two episodes where it's the kids having all the, the primary conflict, which I understand could be a bit frustrating when you want to watch the old cast. But unlike other products, at least there's an effort, to make the new cast, just as likable and interesting and deep. And yeah, and also like I said, the balance is brought back again at the point where yeah, like I said, it's just shared. Um, but anyway, so this episode, there was something else I was going to look back on as well. Oh yeah, I think it was when them two were Johnny and Chris were talking at the apartment, see if there was any other snippets. Yeah, and also what that argument was. I think starting with the smaller bits first. So, cool to see um, Robbie's former mate, seeing what kind of stage they're at. But after presumably the video and trying to attack Robbie and Daniel having to step in, yeah, I think that explains why when it next see them in prison. And so it's just yeah, it's not a huge emphasis on Robbie's past, but there's definitely enough there, seeing someone who's familiar of, well, not only his former mates, but even someone. Um, oh, hang on. Hold that thought. So I was just looking back right now. So after 85, Kreese couldn't join the army again. Oh, and they seemed. Oh yeah, so he does have a thing against therapists, which explains more about season 5. Okay, all right then. So he did lie about all of the soldier work after 1985. Okay. Anyway, I was talking about. Oh yeah, Robbie. So yeah, so as well as first form his mates, is going to a place, to try and enjoy himself, but also a place that he previously infiltrated. So yeah, there's not a lot of that history that comes back again, but I think for obvious reasons because new things are happening to him. But it's just almost like the last stench of his past before he's able to finally move on. And we'll thank Daniel for that. He saved Robbie's life. That's definitely something. Yeah, the first life-threatening situation, you could say. Well, granted, there was the truck 3 episodes ago. So yeah. Anyway, I'm just gonna want to. So I wonder what the argument Chris was about in the apartment. Yeah, because that's another interesting thing. Because so we find out that Chris was fibbing all this time to. I think Chris would have done that to make him okay. Okay, so it's just about property and some breaking in. Okay, so that's what the argument's about. Okay. Um, sorry, I keep losing the plot. Um, not this plot. um, oh yeah, so yeah, because yeah, all of this. Yeah, I think yeah, the questioning about the Grease's truth, and sorry, I think that was my chair. I've moved a bit. Anyway, yeah, all of that. Yeah, so like finding out they were fibs, it does make the audience wonder more about Grease because even if they've had a chat and Johnny was saying to Miguel that it's all good, and yeah, even despite the honest discussion, I think that's still. I think at first it could seem like Chris is going to be, good, like Johnny. He was previously a villain and now Johnny's one of the main characters. But yeah, it just makes us question that and, think if that's the case. But it turns out not quite to be the case. Yeah, because it's later on where Chris becomes more of a villainous presence, um, but yeah, I think what's also interesting about season 1 and 2 is that there's not really a bad guy. There's just two opposing forces, and I think that's what made the show really unique. It does continue to be unique, but just later on there was just like the good and versus bad side team. It does become more blatant from season 3 onwards. But yeah, to have there's that mixture of uh, morality and that. Yeah, like I said, it just makes those first two seasons interesting. But even then, you still get hints at that morality because you have even if the likes of Grease and Terry are like the villains from season 3 onwards, they do try and justify their choices, and there's a lot of sympathy for them. So the way they write the characters is still there, but like I said, it's just more of a good versus evil kind of premise. Um. Anyway, yeah. So yeah. So at the end of the episode, Johnny and Grease seem to be um, much closer, which will be something to think about as time goes on. Now they're both senseis, so yeah, Grease isn't just a watcher. I mean, you also see how Grease is influencing more the students. He's not fooled Miguel, interestingly enough, but it's definitely Grease has definitely got his claws in the likes of Hawk and that. And as you'll see later on, Hawk is almost like Grease's protege. I kind of struggle to say that word. Yeah, because what's interesting about each sensei is that they almost have their own student, which they're most relevant or who they tie to. Because yeah, because Daniel had Robbie and Sam initially. Johnny has Miguel, and Kreese has um, Hawk, and then he has the new recruits in season 3. Terry gets more close with Kenny, and you have Kim, who's in season 5. She's is a lot closer with Tori, and then who's the new girl in season 4, the smart one. I've got her name, but yeah, so there's that connection with that. Like, yeah, Tori is close with Kreese too, but um, yeah, you can assume which student can be paralleled with which sensei. Yeah, it's just an interesting thought. Um, and yeah, and Daniel's got a new student. So yeah, he's just let time itself help him out. So yeah, with the advert still getting in the way and his initial idea not working, he's just going to let the students come to him. Even later on, when he gets more students, when he's confronting Johnny in the dojo, like Daniel offers a good portion of the Cobra Kai students a choice. He doesn't say granted he does discourage say mean things about Cobra Kai, but he still gets the students to join him, or at least discourage the students from being part of Cobra Kai. And then because I think Daniel would have been a lot more grabbing if he really wanted to nab out of Cobra Kai, but no, like I said, he gives that choice first, which is part of letting them choose and see what happens. Because yeah, Daniel many went to that dojo to confront Johnny about the Miyagi's wreck dojo, which happens later on. So yeah, just yet another seed that's planted. I also like Amanda and Robbie connecting. I don't remember any other time they really chatted with one another, but it's still nice, to make Robbie feel more like at home, more so than Robbie's mum has ever done, really. Also nice to see a new location, this resort followed by a beach, and and Sam and Aisha falling out, and Aisha has a new mate. And we also see how the adverts have influenced parents. You're just looking at the wrong direction. So just another purposeful episode. I don't want to keep talking about highlights. Anyway, we'll just leave it there. That was episode 4. So, yeah, I'll see you next time. See ya. Hello, welcome to Cobra Kai's commentary, season 2, episode 5, called All In. I keep forgetting what was the last episode's title called again? I'm not sure. So Dimitri is a new student from Miyagi-Do, and Kreese is a sensei, a proper one. So I think one of the scenes I'm thinking of is in this episode, and considering this is the midpoint, that will make some things interesting. Alright, let's see how the midpoint plays out. So if you could get your episode ready. 3, 2, 1. I promise no more sound effects. So as far as I can remember, because in season 1 it was referring to a phone call. Oh, and the mum's trying to cheer him up using cookies. That's nice. Oh god, yeah. Look how Yeah, this is already like one of the saddest scenes in the whole show. This is, I really feel sorry for Eli there. Yeah. At least his name won't get mentioned, but yeah, really disappointing. Um, Although later on he does manage to get more friends and that, so at least that's what Cobra has done for him. So yeah, just it's been reminded for what the, his previous history was like, and yeah, because we only saw hints of it, with him being a bit timid, but yeah, no, thanks to that flashback, we can see that it used to really bother him. Yeah, and even his hair like shows his progression as a character because you have like the blue hair shows his like his starting point of being a Cobra Kai student, but I think from um, this hairstyle that's where he's at his most sinister. Because does he? I was trying to remember any more colleagues he has. Um, but yeah, that's the tattoo studio he goes to. It's cool to know that. And yeah, looks like his mates can come with him as well. So yeah, definitely a brand new person. And even his tattoo on his higher chest does change over time. Dimitri's trying to be smart by saying, "Oh yeah, I know the gist. Yeah, shouldn't be." Oh yeah, Daniel's not even letting him slide. Oh, okay, he is. Oh, Daniel's the perfect. Well, yeah, he'll be telling you all about the balance. Yeah, I think that's just Daniel will be training all sorts of of people. So yeah, the Dimitri's a bit of a challenge for him. Oh, Splinter, yeah. But yeah, Dimitri was trying to attempt skipping the first steps, but he does really need those basics. But he's at least he's doing this method well, or not. Yeah, so it's just an interesting, um, what Dimitri's early karate training days were like. So also it was kind of cool to see a bit of banter between, um, between Grease and Johnny earlier. But yeah, this is how to get out of a chokehold. Oh, yeah. I regularly remember that idea. Yeah, what did I just say? Well, just how to get out of a chokehold like that. Oh, all in. That's where that's the episode's name. um, yeah, just talking about other aspects of Chi during the lesson. Important student. Oh, okay, yeah, so Crease is still wanting to talk about Robbie, and yeah, so Crease is just questioning Johnny, about not giving up on that, and all in. Yeah, like why doesn't that apply to Robbie? Yeah, that's the kind of questions that Crease is going to add in Johnny's head. Oh, there's a coffee machine in the um, in that dojo earlier. Oh, and Mooney's even getting to know Tori as well. That's well, they're sitting together. Oh, the term all in. Okay, yeah, so Miguel's interpreted that as in his own way. Yeah, so you have I keep forgetting his name, but the first bloke, he's getting easily well, easy to basically an easy target for Hawk, and then you have the other one who seems to see Hawk as a bit of a leader, showing him this kind of information. Yeah, I would have wanted to see what the review says, but it looks like whilst he's getting trained, he's just taking a chance to disco Kai, and he's going against Eli's warning from the last episode. Yeah, that's not gonna go well. Just questioning all sorts. He kind of acts as like one of the more um yeah. So yeah, Dimitri's going to be a hard nut to crack. Oh no, his reflexes aren't there. Technically, you do, even if it's thin. Oh yeah, so yeah, Dimitri's been he's kind of here because he feels like he has to, and yeah, that's why Daniel sees more of modern Cobra Kai's effects. Alpha. Oh no, so Eli's probably been doing probably even more like off screen. So yeah, Dimitri definitely feels left out. The reason I say more is because with Eli in the last episode said don't do anything I regret. So yeah, could that be? Oh yeah, because it almost takes place straight afterwards. This episode, so yeah, I wonder if that was enough to upset Dimitri. But there's other bits too, like not wanting to reference the binary brothers, which reminds Eli of his past. Eviction. Oh, this is um tied to Crease, isn't it? Yeah. But also going back to the previous scene, it was interesting to for Daniel to say, like the martial arts, it's the tools you use, not something that just makes you feel better. Yeah, it's the kind of impression that um, that Dimitri has been having, considering the others showing off. But yeah, Daniel's soon to clarify that. Oh, and that's his. Oh, okay. So is that so? Did his mum choose her own surname? Okay. Yeah, I've heard of that film. I'm going to watch it. It's nice to see Sam and Robbie act a bit closer, and yeah, there's Dimitri's trying to get on with them. And yeah, they seem fine with him around, despite him being a bit of a loony. Oh yeah, and Corey was previously wondering what Miguel's been up to. Now we see that. Yeah, even I like melted ice cream. It still tastes nice. It didn't look like there was much on the plate though, but at least it's nice for Tori to offer. I don't think he would be looking at dirty stuff in a public place. Yeah, so I bet he's wondering what's going on. And also, I wonder if this is the first time um, Tori found out about their past relationship. Oh yeah, that's. Oh yeah, maybe this is where she's finding out. Okay, yeah, there's finding out. Yeah, it's probably used an Adobe After Effects puppet tool. I won't know how to do that. But yeah, it's coming from the picture song from the date, and yeah, there's a Roxette song as well. Yeah, oh yes, there goes even referencing the title. Yeah, thanks to the sensei's influence. Oh no. Yeah, Miguel still has a long way to learn about dating. Yeah, so yeah, it looks like Tori's not against Miguel dating Sam, but she's still trying to. Yeah, it looks like she's trying to help him by offering him advice, or maybe that's just a way to make her more friendly than she seems, despite not being the biggest fan of Sam. And then, yeah, but to try and have some fun with Miguel. Yeah, I don't think she has a crush on him yet, but it's just nice for Tori to try and get um, trying to team Miguel up here is nice. Oh yeah, they're talking about the billboard again. Oh no 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 no! Okay, so the whole idea about Robbie working at if he yeah, because yeah, I don't think Robbie does work there, which dresses there looks like Robbie's absent, from that workplace. But now Johnny knows where Robbie's been settling in, and also a really interesting line from that bloke about the Red Hulk face. um, um, yeah, about the difference between the dojo and the real world. I think Johnny would have realised that when he let the person go, because it would have been his way of solving problems, attacking people, um, and yeah. Although what I would say is that I'm surprised no one was like calling him Johnny out, during the dealership then, um, unless nobody wanted to bother Johnny. Yeah, not sure about that. Also, just one more line from the previous scene. Having enough stuff to deal with, um, that could be further evidence of Daniel being absent at a point where there's more work to do for, the others. Just more to do without Daniel being there. Also, speaking of, yep, so a fight happens and someone noticed. Yeah. And then we have an unsure look from that guy, which hints some future bits later on. Also, is this the other commuter song that appeared in the first film? It's definitely in the first film, but is it still the band Commuter? Yes. And because when it played in the first film, it was when Daniel was trying to run from Johnny after the the trick during the Halloween party. Yeah, so he's trying to make an open mind, but no, Hawk. I was about to call him Hawkeye. Hawk is still hostile. I think there's a. Is there any people noticing this? I can't really see any people watching. I think some people will be watching later on. Oh yeah, there you go. I can see some people looking. Yes, the reason them two are absent was because of because they're in the queue. Because they're were they in the queue? Oh, whereabouts were they? Toilet break. At least they've come around now. And yeah, as you can see later on, they do the circle method, and there's another well, a couple of neat details. Yep, there you go. Circle method's not paying off, and yeah. So Dimitri all this time has been unable to battle, but he's used as a bit of help, especially with Sam using them as a ramp. So that's kind of nice. Yeah, so it gives Dimitri like someone to defend, which adds more stakes for those from Yagido. But yeah, they managed to fight them all off, which yeah, like I said, thanks to the circle. Yeah, very interesting scene. But yeah, I also liked Dimitri's comment about about comic books not staying accurate to lore. No, it looks like Johnny's had another drink after the misinformation. Yeah, because not that I remember much, but I thought he would have gone looking for Robbie. But after Robbie's now living with them officially, it's been it's already got to him. Now Carmen seems to be. I wonder if Carmen was aware of his drinking habits, or if Miguel has said before. But it's nice for her to offer to help, and now them two all excited. About what they did earlier. But it looks like Amanda knows as well. Yeah, so he's pleased that that they're doing well and they fought for a good cause, or for a good reason rather. But then, yeah, Dimitri's all disappointed as he goes to see to them now that he knows Sam and Robbie are fine. Yeah, so yeah, Daniel's trying to compliment Dimitri by saying, "Oh, at least you tried to run from them." More references, and then yeah, and so despite the references, Daniel's been saying, "Oh, if you comparing yourself to him, or that person has also still managed to achieve something." Yeah, anyone could be a hero. Just very nice. I don't watch Game of Thrones, by the way, so I don't know who this Sam is. So yeah, Daniel's going to give him another go. That's nice. Yeah, maybe Daniel was trying to rush Dimitri almost. Oh yeah, that's something I need to work on. Yeah, looking at your opponent's eyes as you perform the actions. So yeah, taking a nice stay. That's really nice. I wondered how she found out about the attack. Could it be was it put online? Was Pork talking about it? So despite I haven't really seen much the time between them. Willie saw that which is like a nice relationship, and it's done well. It's made Eli do. It's part of making Eli better for himself. But now he's lost one thing that's helped with his confidence. It's just sent him over the edge of seeing here. Yeah, really interesting long shot there. Yeah, so he just goes over there. Something to take his anger out on. Yeah, it just goes to show that this kind of karate, it the kind of mindset it's costing him things. Oh, whereabouts was Crease? It must have been in the far left of the room, seeing Hawk walk past. And I do remember this part. So, so despite losing that fight, Crease is like, it doesn't all have to be represented in one fight. Yeah, as he says. Yeah, so you can always give them another go. And that input from Crease does make it just goes to show, as you see later on, how dangerous Grease's influence is, with what it leads to later on. So now Carmen's going to be more familiar with the rivalry. But unlike Amanda, where the rivalry is really getting in the way, Carmen seems to, whilst having an open mind, tries to just help him out about it. Yeah, so even she's talking about actually, I'll make a pause on that. Yep, so yeah, playing the bigger person out of the two, if a conflict starts getting to you. Yeah, because I think that's the second time we hear about her ex-husband. So yeah, that's some advice for Johnny, which you'll keep in mind later. Also go back to Eli as well. Eli sees Dimitri as someone who will always be rather nerdy, and Eli wants to be far away from that as possible. And then, to try and have a tattoo of Moon only to have that tattoo wasted. He does redo the tattoo in a certain way. But yeah, that must be really heart-wrenching for him, because it's almost as if his tattoos represent part of his own progression, and for one of them to be very redundant, I think that does partially add to the frustration. But also, anyway, let's talk about this scene. So, we saw that Tori was a bit of a daredevil earlier with that miniature roundabout, and them having all of this fun only for Sam to be mentioned again, and Tori's partially frustrated, but they're able to talk about it, and yeah, there we go. Yeah, they pretty much spent the whole day together. Yeah. Oh yeah, she says she lives nearby the area, which explains the planes coming through at certain times. So yeah, that's a more nice thing to learn about Tori. She's been innovative with her food, a bit like Daniel. So after seeing one new romance, I think this one, it's just kind of put on hold. Yeah, it's happened in such a quick amount of time, so it's partially understandable. Yeah, so they're vaguely neutral about it. That's nice of them. Yeah, just watch the fire. You two will be fine. We'll just talk about something else. Oh no. So, Kreese is giving advice to Hawk, and then Hawk is now tell the others to. Yeah. Oh gosh, yeah, this scene is also very devastating. Yeah, how much did they manage to achieve him? Must have been like an hour or two. Oh, even one of the banners is down, and the most valuable the most valuable things also gone. Yeah, because at first Cobra Kai was just reminding him of like a past he really wanting to forget. Then his children are getting attacked, um, and then all of this happens. Yeah, this is one of my favorite Daniel moments. Yeah, that was a really nice moment between them two in the film as well. But yeah, look at that transition. Goes from upset to really angry. So angry he's left the kids. Yeah. I suppose they can help tidy up, and it's a safe place they're in, so at least Daniel's not probably deserted them. Of course, Johnny had nothing to do with this. Yeah. Oh, okay, told Johnny about that. At least Johnny's admitting that. Yeah, so Daniel sharing what he thinks the sensei should be like, and he doesn't recognise those qualities in either Johnny nor Kreese. Yeah, seeing that look of Eli, that goes to show that it could be him that stole the medal. And as I said in the previous episode, yeah, so this is it's where he gives the students a choice to come with him or not. Being just admitting his perspective on the dojo. And at this point, Daniel's almost getting Johnny to fight him, but thanks to Karma's advice, he's standing down. And then after seeing many unsure looks from this bloke, Chris. Okay, so that's his name. Okay. Yeah, he becomes the first to go. And oh yeah, they were one of the twins. Okay. Yeah, one of the ginger twins, which I just saw a small segment of earlier this episode, or at least the past one, because I remember seeing them two together in season 5. But yeah, yeah, it was definitely a midpoint episode. What a drastic change of events. That's probably about nearly half the students gone. So it's no thanks to Kreese and Hawk, it's cost them half the students. So it's almost as if all of this time Cobra Kai's been taking the losses, and now this time it's no, sorry, all of this time. No, at first Miyagi Do was losing, the chances of being a successful dojo, and now this time it's Cobra Kai, taking a massive hit. And I was going to say something else as well. I think something else to address is that some people think that Daniel does come across as a bit unlikable, especially when he was being all snarky around Johnny. Although, yeah, I guess we'll encounter more moments over time. I remember some people thinking that he wasn't fixed until season 5, to which I like him in season 5, but he's still rather good throughout, and he's still in character as far as I can see. But it's just in the end of that scene, it makes sense why he would where he would be he just because he's always been angry and reactive, very defensive of Miyagi's legacy. Really thinking of Cobra Kai as nothing but this poison community, and so yeah, I would need to look more into that criticism. I'm not sure if that seems like a good example, but I don't just see it being like a very reasonable reaction, and I just remember finding that scene really satisfying because whilst it is a misunderstanding because Daniel thinks this is Johnny's doing, although what I would say is that Daniel could have tried asking Kreese, but I think when Daniel last saw them two together, I think Daniel would have had an impression that Johnny was the lead. So I think Daniel must have thought, what, if he's the head of this, then I'm going to confront him. But I think I would have liked to see if Daniel wonders if Kreese had to do anything with it. But I think at that point he's just so blind by rage, and he doesn't really have anything. Like, Daniel dislikes Kreese, but it's Johnny who's been, that's annoyed him and actively done things against him. So you can just further adds to being reasonable. But as I was saying, it's just to have Johnny and Daniel to be in a heated argument like that. It's one of my favourite moments of season 2, and I really like the way that Johnny's standing down as well, because attacking his worker only to let go of him after being reminded about it's not dojo, it's real life, and then only to then not start fighting his own dojo. That's definitely shows that it's just taking Carmen's advice to heart, which which is a really nice of Carmen to do. I was about to I was wondering why Johnny didn't mention Robbie when Daniel came into the dojo, but of course Johnny didn't want to make Robbie a problem that's heard throughout the whole dojo, because Miguel and Hawk knowing about it is kind of bad enough, and also the whole all in line, because at the start of this episode, as I'm rewatching it, it's a good massive full class, got two senseis doing well teaching the students, and then from the following events a lot of the students are lost, so it becomes like all in for Miyagi-Do as well. So what else happened in this episode? So sorry, my tablet keeps falling. So I think this is almost an episode about Hawk almost. He's almost like one of the main characters for this episode, and I think he does have more moments that are all about himself, like throughout the series, but I feel like in this specific episode there's more of a greater focus on him, because it goes from seeing a flashback, seeing what it was like at first, and seeing what he's like now, completely different, and then he loses a greater part of what he think he would never get, only to lose it. Just like I said, it further adds to why being part of Cobra Kai seems to it can like create a lot of disconnection, because Daniel's speech in the Cobra Kai dojo is talking about, Cobra Kai won't teach you about, the true side of real life. And yeah, because Cobra Kai's way of living, if you're a student there, being all aggressive and that, it's a different way of living that's definitely not always going to work for you. And we see that with Eli losing his girlfriend Moon, and then and just trusting the dojo. It's just and even hunting Dimitri. Yeah, it's just not the normal ways. Like, so yeah, it's just another difference. And but yeah, and I think that's, and on the other hand, you do have Dimitri, who is similar to Eli. Pretty much has nothing much going on, and he thinks very little about himself. But through joining what could be seen as the right side of history, he's seems to have new mates with Sam and Robbie. He gets defended compared to Eli, who seems to have those talk back at him, especially Chris. And then Dimitri gets more help with training, which I guess it shows, by being nice you actually get something. Or get help when you really need it, because um, yeah, yeah, because I think that it also, like I said, it also shows earlier about um, Daniel training Robbie and Samantha. It's familiar territory for him, and now he was training Dimitri, who needed a different approach. And so instead of, because Miyagi was very heads on, very quick with Daniel, especially with the fighting, and seeing how what the chores have done with that for Daniel, with the reflexes and that, which we see in the first film. But as Daniel would have guessed over time, Dimitri just needs a slower approach. And um, yeah, and Daniel's about to get more students, so it'll be even more interesting to see how he interacts with the rest of the students. Well, so yeah, when I'm just rewatching this scene, Crease is that Crease being a victim? Oh, oh no, it's not. It's not Crease's. It's Robbie's apartment. Sorry, I made that mistake. Oh, it's Shannon. Despite calling herself Shan, is Shannon the name of Robbie's mum then? Yeah, I think of course, we would have to assume that, because because after Kreese brought up Robbie again, that's where Johnny's like, you know what, I don't want to keep hearing Kreese keep talking about him. Let's go and try and find him myself. And because of course, Johnny wouldn't assume that Robbie's living with him, because Johnny doesn't know much about his liver situation, and he wouldn't even thought of Shannon even leaving. But of course, they're not talking to each other much. So yeah, to find out where he is, yeah, uh, it's just because if you lost your kid and someone else is looking after them for you, and then like with the karate training, and only to then start living with them, um, of course that's I can see why that would completely like lose your perspective and that. And and Johnny going back to drinking. And I think after already attacking a worker, I think he probably wasn't really much in the mood for any more fighting. Because imagine if Johnny like raided uh, that Daniel's house, or even Miyagi's house, in order to try and get Robbie back. But as evident in the first episode, Robbie really didn't want to do anything. Wouldn't really want nothing to do with Johnny. So I bet he must have been thinking back on that as well. I am talking about a lot of assumption, but I can see why Johnny went on to drinking after finding the information out. But I think that's worth discussing. Well, worth just having a good think about it. Even the main students have had simpler steps, because as well as Robbie and Sam having a new person into their team, and they're about to get a whole lot more. Both Robbie and Sam seem to be getting closer with each other, and Miguel and Tori finally spent time together, only to then start a new relationship. So, because Miguel started this episode with making the video, and then it looks like Sam's out of the picture for now. We'll wait to see how that goes. I think that there definitely further evidence that it's almost Hawk's own episode, because the other characters get these. Well, the other kid characters, you could say, have these light steps, and then you just have Hawk, where you get just an interesting perspective, or being shown what he's currently like, and he's becoming more hostile because of Kreese being there as well, which further shows how how much of an influence Kreese can have on other students. I just suddenly realised, in the supermarket as I'm rewatching the scene, Dimitri is calling Hawk Eli, which is a name that Hawk doesn't want to be reminded of, because there's that look of, oh, please don't call me that, please don't call me that, because it just really shows how much he really wants to forget about the past, which is very similar to Johnny as well. And after because Dimitri's just as I'm rewatching that scene, he's admitted about Miyagi-Do and then being beaten by them. Of course, Eli would want revenge against them. So I think that's all I can say. Like I said, the Dojo being trashed is being destroyed, rather. You could still say trashed. Definitely disheartening, seeing Daniel's reaction, and the dojo definitely needs a massive tidy up, and it needs that medal back. And just not only one of the most sad moments, but also just really satisfying. The way Johnny and Daniel are arguing. It's I just remember that bit of really hooking me, and also we get to see a supermarket and seeing how those interact around it, especially with Dimitri and the comics. That's something that's added to it. I say I just suddenly realised, why did they go there in the first place, as opposed to they just wanted to hang out? They didn't really talk about hanging out, as far as I can tell. Anyway, I think that's all I can say about this episode. So another very well done midpoint episode, like in the previous season. So I'll see you in the next episode.